Come on, Wheeler.
It's the big dog.
Well,
come on, Wheeler. Wheeler, you know we're not allowed to talk about the NFL in St. Louis.
Yeah, that small vocal minority of people.
I mean, I'm just telling it like it is. We are banned officially or otherwise from talking about the NFL because 99% of the audience will turn us off. They'll tell us to go take a hike. So
they say that, but then they don't go anywhere.
What do you? I'm sorry. I just got to tease you, brother.
No, it's good. That's good. We'll get to that coming up. Obviously, we got some baseball stuff before that as well. And I'll say, Bernie, just as a jumping off point, I really enjoyed the video today about the youth of the roster. This is what a rebuild is for all of our listeners and Cardinals fans that aren't familiar with baseball rebuilds, because we haven't seen one. And this is what it is. You go young, you're looking on upside. But I thought you raised a couple of really interesting questions in your video for STL Sports Central.
Thank you, man. But yeah, I got into the research mode, and I'm like, listen, we all know the Cardinals are already younger, but I wanted to put some historical perspective on it just to show you how much it's dramatically changing. And frankly, it's not like nobody could figure that out on their own, but I just wanted to put some numbers to it just to kind of track the evolution of this roster since Chaim Bloom took over and how much it has changed. I think dramatically in terms of the age of the position players, the age of the starting pitchers. The relievers are different because there's always old guys in the bullpen.
Yeah.
But it's a major change, and it does raise questions because they're going to be a really inexperienced team. But then again, in a rebuild, that's the whole point. You want them to gain experience. And the other thing is, I asked the question, and I think Cardinals fans are really interested in that. It's like, well, who will lead them? They don't have a leader. All the veterans are gone who were sort of in that leadership role. Now, like who's going to take the torch now? And it's a good question.
Nate, what do you make of that question about young guys needing something or someone to kind of lead the way, so to speak?
Maybe they need somebody to show them certain things about how things are done on a day-to-day basis, right? I mean, I think baseball is such an all-consuming sport for the people who play it, coach it, cover it, whatever. It's such a day-to-day thing. It takes over the vast majority of your life that you need to learn how to manage that. Now, that's partially what the minor leagues are for, but the major leagues adds a number of elements, including in some cases more rigorous travel. Not necessarily, they're going farther distances, but they don't have to do it on buses anymore, so maybe it kind of comes out in the wash. Certainly a lot more media attention and a lot more scrutiny and obligations that come from that day to day for many guys. What I will say is this is something that I've kind of turned over in my mind, and I think you'd have to be a former player to speak to it with more authority. But I wonder if for a team like the Cardinals, having a little bit of a leadership vacuum, if you will, at this stage actually is not the worst thing, because what they have is some guys who are still very young but have a little bit of big league experience already. So what a great opportunity for a guy like Mason Wynn, say, who you want to be kind of a leader and team captain of the future, to get to step up a little bit into that role. I mean, he's been in the big leagues for 2 years now, right? It's not like he's a rookie at this point. He's not just popping up and getting his first opportunity to sink or swim. He's got his legs underneath him now at the major league level a little bit. And that could be said of some other guys too. But I think he's a good example of a guy who's more settled at this point than maybe his age gives him credit for, right? It's not as simple as, well, he's 23, you got to be 24 years old. There's a question of how much time he has in the big leagues already. And maybe he's ready to move into a little bit more of that kind of role. Maybe that's true of a Matthew Liberatore or some of these other guys who have a decent amount of experience, but might have otherwise been deferring to older players just out of respect.
I think Dustin May will be a very strong leader for the starting pitchers.
Good call.
Because the guy has gone through everything. I mean, a heralded, hyped prospect, the next great pitcher for the Dodgers, couple elbow surgeries, another injury. He almost he had a terrible crisis at a restaurant, just swallowing some food and tearing his esophagus. And I mean, that was actually a very dangerous thing. So he kind of knows what it's like to be riding high, and he knows what it's like to be kicked down, get up, kick down again. That kind of perspective is a beautiful thing for a very young collection of starting pitchers, and then the only thing I'll say, and I feel very strong about this, like if Mason Wynn and JJ Weatherholt were in a clubhouse where you still had guys who have been to all-star games and guys who have won awards and guys that, Goldie Arenado a few years back, so to speak. Well, they're not going to go in there and just sort of take the initiative to lead, but this is a really, really, really young set of position players, other than maybe Lars Nootbaar. This is a new era of Cardinals baseball. If you ask me, like, okay, from a position player standpoint, because position players kind of lead other position players.
Right.
All right. Well, who is positioned in this new era as it begins to basically step up in a way that it shows they understand, like, this is a new era. I'm going to step up because I think, we all need to try to be leaders, and I'm going to try to take charge and do whatever I can, just so people will know I want to be a leader and I think I can. Who better than Mason Wynn and JJ Weatherholt for that? And I don't care if JJ Weatherholt hasn't played a major league game. I went back and did a lot of research about what people who played with him, coached him at West Virginia. And to me, he is the quintessential leader in every way. But, I guess part of it too is I watched baseball and grew up watching baseball in Baltimore, and I don't think anyone told Cal Ripken Jr. to go sit down.
No.
When he was a young dude.
No.
When Eddie Murray came up in 1977, he had a huge presence immediately. I don't think anyone on that clubhouse told him to go sit down and shut up. So I think we get too caught up on the age factor.
Agree.
This is Mason Wynn's time. It's a new era. It's Mason Wynn's time. It's JJ Weatherholt's time. What is the big deal?
Yeah, I'm with you. See, I think the leadership stuff really matters when you're talking about contending. You need to have people that can set the tone. But when you're rebuilding, you need to find out if you have them. It's as much as important as finding out if JJ Weatherholt can hit. You got to find out if you've got people with those abilities in-house. And if you realize you don't, in a year or two, you need to go get them. You need to find them. So I think this is part of the rebuilding process. It's not like having any veteran, whether it's Brendan Donovan or if you could bring back a Chris Carpenter type to run the pitching stuff. That's not going to make these guys any better this year. These guys are young. They're finding themselves. And you want to see what you can develop from within. And then you go take care of that if you need that when the time comes.
I think the other thing is that, to me, being a leader in a sports context, or probably many others, is in largest part, regardless of age, experience, anything, is just wanting to be one, wanting to take that responsibility. I think when we say the word leader, people sort of use that interchangeably with star player, because they often go hand in hand, not always. And so they think, well, everybody wants to be a leader. A leader is just something that's good, and it's better to be one than not. It's a lot more work to be one than not. It means you're taking responsibility for everybody else, right? Do you want to be the most important guy in your department at work? A lot of people don't. A lot of people would rather show up when they need to, do their job, and go home, right? Being a leader means you're taking some responsibility for other people. You're doing some things that are not specifically your job. It's not enough to show up and play great defense and hit 280 and 15 home runs and say that was a pretty solid season for me. I'm going to go and enjoy my offseason. You're taking now a level of responsibility over the success of the team. It's, in basketball, everybody wants to be the star until there's 10 seconds left and somebody's got to take the last shot, and it's going to be on you, buddy. And that's when it's a leader steps up or doesn't, right? Who are you when everything is on the line? Who are you when the team is struggling and somebody needs to step up and say something? Who are you when a guy's dogging it and it's time for a teammate to step up in the dugout and say, that's not our standard, right? That's not a pleasant thing to do. Do you want to go in and say to your coworker at 10:30 in the morning, you're not upholding our standard in front of everybody, and deal with that? A lot of people don't want to. So I think that's what we're going to learn this year, is there's going to be that leadership vacuum. And the biggest question is going to be, who wants it? Not who's the best player, not who's the oldest guy, not who's the most experienced. Who wants to take ownership over the direction of this franchise going forward, knowing that this year and probably for the next year or two after, it's not going to be the most pleasant job in the world because it's going to mean being accountable for a team that probably loses more games than it wins. Yeah.
Yep. It was well said, man. Well said. Yeah. I do believe, and I've seen comments from Mason Wynn, really strong comments about how he wants to lead. And he's got the personal character and intensity and respect to do that. And I think Weatherholt definitely has it in him. I don't expect him to walk in there like day one and sort of act like he's the leader, but I think he'll very, very quickly start to have that persona where people look at him and say, hey, that's our guy. That's our dude. Yeah. He's going to, and I can't think of two better guys to use your term, Nate, to take ownership of that leadership role. It's like, hey, this is our time. It's a brand new team. This is our time. Let's go.
Absolutely.
I'm excited about that kind of stuff. I don't look at the negative about them being young. I'm looking at the positive.
Amen.
And there's a lot of positives.
Yeah, totally agree. That's Bernie Miklasz. Nate Gatter's here. Kevin Wheeler hanging out. It's Rush Hour Sports. We'll get to some Super Bowl coming up a little bit later on. A little more baseball next on KMOX.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I got you something extra special for Valentine's Day.
Yeah?
How does a blow and go sound?
I like it.
Great. Air Comfort Service will be here on Monday.
Wait, what?
Our attic insulation is in bad shape. Air Comfort Service heating and cooling and insulation can top off our insulation with blow and go and make our home more energy efficient. We can save up to 30% on our energy bills.
I love it when you talk savings to me.
Schedule your blow and go attic installation from Air Comfort Service. Visit aircomfortservice.com/blow today.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition. Sponsored by Purina.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still have heavy traffic downtown on Route 3 coming down through Monsanto now. The train crossing there. Northbound Route 3 is jammed back through Queenie. South Route 3 is jammed back to the Poplar. Westbound 44 is jammed past the Poplar. We had a minor crash reported there. Eastbound 44, still have the road work, Kings Highway into Grand Heavy. Still have that crash partially in the left lane. Southbound 55 at Dolores, still kind of slow going past that one. Westbound 64, Kings Highway out through McCausland's backed up. There's a little slowdown, 170 through McKnight because of a recent incident. Then it's on the brakes. Pretty solid now, though. From Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to the West 70 ramp. Looks like something maybe at the end of that ramp. Westbound Highway 70 has some slow traffic around the bend of the Fallon Park at the city limits. And then from A out through that Z area, merging with the 64 traffic. South 270, Olive down to Clayton Road, busy, and then approaching Gravois. Northbound 270 north of Manchester up to Ladue is busy. Westbound 44 a little slow around the Cleed Station. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Amy,
yes.
I have a real beef with bathroom doors in hotels. The stupid sliding door. No, give me a fully shut door, because the sliding door, you know what happens? There's always a gap.
There's a gap.
And so if you have a partner with you in the hotel room, there are sounds and smells and steam.
It puts a new meaning to the word butt crack.
The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays starting at 9 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, it's Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Nate Gatter, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here. Matt Pauley getting the day off. He is in Jupiter as of Monday, and he'll be there for more than a month. And then Tom Ackerman will follow him, so we will always have someone down in Jupiter for Cardinals spring training. Picking up on that conversation, guys, a similar note, but kind of just taking it a little further about the young guys, letting them do their thing, letting them kind of grow into who they are. I feel like I hope that we can all, and I think the three of us in this group and a lot of people will do this, but I'm hoping that most fans will follow us in this and not live and die with the outcome of every game, or with, like a hot streak or a cold streak. Like if they lose 5 in a row, don't start losing your mind. Because I do think...
don't speak for me. I'm calling in every day to tell you about how ridiculous this is. If the Cardinals start 0-2, I'm going to be demanding at least 3 firings.
Fire somebody. But I also think it's important for all of us to pass the message along and for people to understand. I don't know if it'll go exactly this way, Bernie, because I know that Ollie Marmol has a very competitive streak to him. But there will be times with a young team where you might let someone do something you're not sure they can do, because you kind of have to find out. And the only way to find out is to let them do it, which means you might go, why is he not taking this guy out here? Because he might have to learn how to get out of a jam. He might have to learn how to hit against a left-handed pitcher if he's a left-handed hitter. And this is not a year necessarily where every move is going to be with the same goal in mind.
Yeah, it's such a great point, and number one, I think Ollie Marmol has got a great feel for his club. I think Ollie's been here long enough now, and, now this is a really young team. It's kind of in his wheelhouse because he was an outstanding coach in the minor league system for the Cardinals and an outstanding manager in the minor leagues for the Cardinals. He's always enjoyed working with young guys. It doesn't mean he doesn't enjoy working with older guys, but it's kind of right, it's kind of like right down the middle for him. I mean, he can handle this. But to your point, I think I'm going to wear everyone out this year by saying something like, this is what you do when you are rebuilding.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm on record as saying many times, and I'll say it again, I don't care how many games the Cardinals win. I don't care in 2026. Because the things I want to see are the kind of things that you talked about. The manager, Chaim Bloom, everyone who makes decisions, putting guys in a position to where might be hard at first, but they'll be better because of it, because they'll get experience doing something they haven't had much comfort in doing. You got to, pardon the cliche, but you got to let them expand their wings and fly, right? Sometimes you're going to crash. So, but no, you're right. And on the only thing I'll say that's bad about that is that now I'm going to expect exactly what you're talking about. It's like, why did he do this?
Marmol doesn't know what he's doing.
Gotta fire him.
He didn't go for the right-handed bat there. Well, they're trying to find some things out there, buddy.
Yeah. So it's going to be a really interesting season. But Nate and Kevin, I don't know. This could be wishful thinking, but I think the tone among fans is changing quite a bit.
I agree.
Not everybody. There's always going to be a percentage of fans, Heimblum could go out and get who we were talking about. Anybody, like any great player that they want, and they'd still find something to whine about. But I think most fans get it now, and based on my email and some other things, I think people are really kind of warming up to the idea. You know what? This will be kind of fun. This will be kind of fun to see all these young guys come up and get to know who they are and what they can do. This will be different, but we haven't actually had to do it for the 30 years Bill DeWitt's owned the franchise. So it's like a new experience. Maybe that'll create some energy. I don't know.
I agree that I think it feels like the fan base is in a healthier place right now that it's been in a little bit of time. And I think in large part that's because the message feels more aligned. I think fans feel like everybody's in the same boat for the most part and moving rowing in the same direction, because Heimblum has done a really good job of communicating what they're doing and why. And I think people understand and therefore can get on board if they understand where we're going. The big test will be if the Cardinals have some close losses early in the season, does Ollie Marmol get that good grace? I think Ollie Marmol is the one person who's thinking, I don't know if this good grace is going to extend to me from the fan base. I agree with you. I think he has a great sense of people, whether that's his players or fans or us in the media. I think if people actually listened to Ollie when he talks, they would talk about him very differently, but people go in expecting to hear what they want to hear and see what they want to see. And I don't think they always give him a fair shake as a result. How he is treated this year in light of the overall direction of the franchise and the vibe around the fan base will be very interesting.
Going to be a heck of a lot of fun to sort through all of that. Yeah.
And Wheels, real quick. One thing I've never understood. Okay. Gosh, and I know it's coming across as like I'm ripping fans. I'm not. I'm just saying I don't understand this. What have we heard a lot? Boy, Bill DeWitt, sell the team, sell the franchise. Like Bill DeWitt's like an awful owner, right? John Mozeliak, he should have been fired 5 years ago. This roster's terrible. They let the farm system fall apart. Where are all the good young players? They don't know what they're doing. They're terrible. The owner's terrible. Mozeliak's terrible. Well, why the hell do you expect the manager to win a lot of games? I mean, does that make any sense to anybody?
No.
If the owner is horrible, which he's not, and if the president of baseball operations is horrible, and we all spend time criticizing the terrible payroll decisions and moves that weren't made and all the stuff that turned this into a mess. So Ollie Marmol's supposed to win 90 games with this? You all are saying that it's all a bunch of garbage and that the owner should sell the team.
Yeah,
but yet
bizarre.
Yet you expect Ollie Marmol to overcome all of that and like take the Cardinals to the top of the NL Central or something. I mean,
you know what would make them like Ollie is if he said ownership's terrible, sell the team in his press conference. Then all of a sudden they all agree.
Yeah.
Bernie Miklasz, Nate Gatter, Kevin Wheeler with you on Rush Hour Sports. We're switching over to Super Bowl 60 after the news here on KMOX.
I'm Debbie Monterey, and I see more clearly thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Make your appointment today at 314-966-5000 or online at yourEyeDoc.com.
At 5:30, the news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We've got 43, feels like 33 downtown at the Arch. Seattle Seahawks fans are filling into the San Francisco-Santa Clara region ahead of Sunday night's Super Bowl, and many of them are wearing the number 12, symbolic of the fans as the 12th player on the field.
12s have flooded downtown San Francisco, invading enemy territory with their blue and action green.
100%. You can see the 12s from everywhere. Yeah. And then I think I hear more Go Hawks than anything else.
Yep. Security around the 4-block radius at the NFL's fan experience is tight. Officers and canine units on every corner. That's not stopping fans from celebrating before the big game some 50 miles south in Santa Clara. Luke Ducey for CBS News, San Francisco.
Correspondent Jim Krasula reports on some big news from the big leagues.
Tarek Skubal has won his salary arbitration hearing with the Detroit Tigers, and the two-time Cy Young Award winner will be paid a record $32 million this year instead of the team's $19 million offer. Toronto first baseman Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had held the record for the highest salary in an arbitration case decided by a panel at nearly $20 million in 2024.
There are reports that male ski jumpers are affecting parts of their bodies to enhance their performance.
Experts say there's a culture of cheating in ski jumping, often below the belt. Now, the World Anti-Doping Agency is dealing with reports that some male jumpers are giving themselves a boost in their nether areas to gain an aerodynamic advantage.
If anything was to come to the surface, we would look at anything.
Some skiers are allegedly injecting a filler before being measured for their suits because a larger suit provides more lift. Allison Keys, CBS News.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk for tonight, breezy, low 25. For tomorrow, lots of sunshine and a high of 37. Right now, it's 43 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
R-E-N-N-E-R, R-E-N-N-E-R.
Bernie Miklasz here, always proud to talk about Saliga Heating and Cooling. Dan Saliga is the fourth owner operator of a great St. Louis business that has been serving St. Louis since 1927, which means they're in their 100th year. And as this fourth generation owner operator of the family business, Dan Saliga just makes it better and better and better. It was already great, but this is not a family, or Dan Saliga is not a leader that's going to just put his feet up and say, hey, we got a great business. We're good. Don't stress out. No, he wants to earn your trust every time you call Saliga Heating and Cooling. He believes it's their obligation to earn your trust. And that's the only way to build customer loyalty. Never take the customers or the clients for granted. That is a wonderful way to have a philosophy when you're running your own business. And, you wish more people had that attitude, because Saliga Heating and Cooling sets the standard. This Daikin Comfort dealer will help you no matter what your problem is, big job, small job, emergency, something in the middle. And they're always going to be honest. They're always going to be straight with you. They're going to be prompt with their service. You'll see their knowledge. You'll appreciate how classy they are. We are proud to have been calling Saliga for the last 18 plus years, and that will absolutely continue. To find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling and all their services, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
This is Harry Carey from the beautiful new Busch Memorial Stadium.
From moment to memory.
Cardinal football on the move.
Among those voices, Bob Hamilton.
When I was in high school, I decided I wanted to go to radio.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. The American dream is owning your own home, especially a brand new McKelvey home. This will be your last chance to take advantage of the tremendous savings of the 6 remaining market-ready homes or our luxurious Madison display at Summerlin and O'Fallon. Also get $10,000 free cash at close and special 5.0% fixed 30-year financing. Talk to Stephen Bonfani on how you can qualify for this great offer. Visit McKelveyhomes.com. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules.
The reason many of us hate insurance companies is because some of them act like bullies. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been dealing with these creatures my whole career. Whether it's a workers' comp claim, an auto accident, or a nursing home or medical mishap, the playbook is often the same: deny and delay. We became the largest injury firm in America for a reason. We fight the bullies. They know who we are, and I know it makes a difference for our clients. Just go to forthepeople.com and see our results and our verdicts after those bullies gave us their final offer. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. It's easy to get going. Visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer, or call us on your cell at #law, #529. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me, it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there, we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Considering buying or selling a home? When it comes to the Gelman team with eXp Realty, numbers don't lie. Over 1,500 Google and Zillow 5-star reviews, nearly 6,000 homes, and $2.5 billion in real estate sold. Call 314-336-1991, thegelmanteam.com.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We got restrictions in both directions now on 55. We still have that crash. Those folks are waiting, I guess, for a police report. They've been out there all afternoon. Left lane partially blocked at Delore. It's a little slow there, but a new crash northbound 55 at River to Pear. Left lane blocked there. It's a solid jam back through Bayless on northbound 55 right now. Westbound 64 from the Science Center out to McCausland's heavy. It's a little slow through Winghaven and then Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70. Eastbound 64 busy past the Inner Belt. South 270, Olive down to 64 slow. North 270 north of Manchester up toward Ladue. We had a report of a crash in that area. Eastbound 64 heavy past the Inner Belt. Westbound 70 is great. The only delays A to Z out in the Wentzville area right now. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, it's Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Nate Gatter, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here. Time to talk Super Bowl 60. And, you know, when you look at the matchup, it's a lot of fun, right? It's two 14-3 teams, two really good defensive teams. If you look at the rankings, they're both in the top 6 or 7 in total yards allowed this year. They're both in the top 4 in points allowed. But you pointed this out earlier, Bernie, on DGS, and I'm this is where I'm leaning, and I'm leaning because of this fact. But you pointed out earlier how weak the schedule has been for the New England Patriots, and obviously Seattle's has been really strong. They have one of the toughest. So if you look at, and again, there are a lot of metrics for this, so there's no one that is absolute. But there's a metric about the total rank of schedule that I'm looking at right now that counts the playoffs. So this is adding 3 playoff games for these teams. I think 2 for Seattle, but 3 for New England. Even with these 3 playoff games on there, Bernie, the weakest schedule of any team in the NFL. Even with 3 playoff games tacked on, Seattle's is the 4th toughest.
I got mixed feelings about it. I think it's good to point that out because I think it could be a factor in the game. But I also been around long enough where I always try to remember, the teams don't get to pick their own schedule. Sure. So, you play who you play and you got to set them up and knock them down because the same people that are dogging them because of the schedule, making too big of a deal about it, which you're not doing, by the way.
Right.
they would be, wanting everyone fired and trade Drake May if they were losing to some of these bad teams, but they don't. They did at the beginning of the season. I still don't know how they lost to the Raiders. and part of this, real quick, Wheels, is that in 1999, which was just like, wow, with the St. Louis Rams, I can't emphasize to you guys enough how much I heard, just because I was always curious about how the media around the country perceived the Rams. It's like, well, they got a soft schedule, and they did. They were ranked like 29th or 30th in terms of strength of schedule. They don't play anybody. They're not that good. Okay, they can throw the ball a little bit. Hey, Kurt Warner, the grocery bagger, look, he's going to get his 15 minutes of fame, and he's going to have a bad game, and then he's going to fall apart. This whole thing's going to crash. They're not tough enough. They're not physical. They subsided on cupcakes. They can't beat a strong team. All that stuff. I heard all that stuff all year long. Everyone kept assuming they were going to fail. They didn't fail. And Kurt Warner's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My point being, it is quite possible to have a weak schedule, but still be a great football team. So in other words, I'm not going to downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, they're here, right?
Schedule. Yeah, right. So I hope what I said makes sense.
It does.
Trying to.
Yeah, it's an interesting note, but it's not a be all end all. It's just kind of part of what you're adding together to see which way you want to lean on it.
Right. I had Aaron Schatz on Sports Open Line on Wednesday evening, and he came up with the advanced metric DVOA.
Yeah,
he's a very plugged in kind of analytics football guy.
It's great.
That was the very first thing that he brought up when I asked him about the Patriots and if the schedule was a concern for him or not. And he said, not really. I mean, the numbers guys, I think they feel generally like all those things get baked into the pie. They're priced into whatever the ultimate metrics are that get pushed out.
Right.
So I don't think those guys usually get too hung up on something like that. But the very first thing he said is what you're talking about, Bernie, which is 1999. Everybody would have made a big deal about it and did make a big deal about it with the Rams. And, that worked out just fine for them. To be fair, and kind of maybe to your point as well, Bernie, that it's a note, but it's not something to get too hung up on. It's not like some of what I hear about how people are talking about the Patriots is like they're an 8, 9, 10 point underdog in this game. They're 4.5 point underdogs, which in the NFL is not nothing, right? I get that. That's Vegas saying we think the Seahawks are appreciably more likely to win this game.
And that the action is telling them to hold there.
Right.
Yeah. Because that line hasn't moved.
Right. But I saw something like 70+% of spread bets have been on the Seahawks. So at that point, Vegas really doesn't have a choice. If anything, the spread, that's not so much their predictions. It's just reacting to the public money that's coming in. But 4.5 points is hardly insurmountable, right? They're not saying this is like the Jets who made the Super Bowl to play the Seahawks. They're just saying that we think Seattle has the leg up, and you can understand why they would think that.
Yeah, sure.
But this is a really, really good Patriots defense, and it is a Sam Darnold. And this is not me saying that Sam Darnold is it's not me trying to play into some kind of narrative or paint him into a corner, right? He is a risk-taking quarterback. That's not me saying he's a choke artist. He's somebody who will roll out and throw the ball back over the middle, right? That's kind of who in his DNA. Even when he's playing well, he's a bit of a risk taker. If as an underdog, that's exactly the kind of quarterback you want to face, because he's the kind of quarterback who is prone to turning the ball over a couple of times. You do that more than makes up for 4.5 points in the spread. If you baked into this that Sam Darnold's going to turn the ball over twice, the Patriots are probably favored to win the game at that point. So I look at this as not a toss-up. I do think Seattle wins the game, but it's not. The Patriots will not need to do something incredible to win this game. They could get 1 or 2 breaks and be in position to win.
Wheels, tell me if we need a break, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, about 3 minutes, yeah.
Okay. The one thing I really, truly believe, I will be genuinely surprised if this game's any kind of blowout. The reason is because the Patriots are a top 4 team in the league in terms of points per game and points allowed per game. I mean, they're good. They have a great coach, too. I think there's been some overreaction to Drake May in terms of being choppy, being harassed, being lacking some composure, just sort of being, like a newborn, like a baby deer that, can't get their feet, and he's kind of sliding all over the place. I get it, but one thing I've learned actually from people like Aaron Schatz is if you want me to evaluate a quarterback or anybody else, I'm always going to go with the much larger sample size.
Correct.
And Drake May has had a phenomenal season.
Where did he finish in the MVP voting again?
Yeah, very close second. And the thing of it is that he's, despite all the stuff and howling winds, snow, freezing rain, and he also was playing 3 top 9 defenses.
Yep.
The kid still found a way to make some big plays when it looked like they were about to go down. So I think people are sort of discounting how good he is because what they're remembering are those 3 playoff games. And that's not necessarily an accurate measure. And if we're going to talk about this some more, I also want to throw out a couple of numbers. The Super Bowl has become a haven for underdogs. And I'll share some of that if on the other side, if you want.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll save that for the other side. A few other things to get into as well. And to build off of that, I think it's also important to note that a game is not played over 18, 19, 20 weeks. A game is a game. And a lot of individual matchups don't play out the same when you're looking at how you face against other teams. So it's just about how you two match up and how you're going in that one game. So, yeah, the background helps us, but how does that play in the individual matchups? We'll talk about that, and we'll get to those notes. Bernie's got some great notes on this. We'll do that next up here on Rush Hour Sports.
Hey, Happy New Year, big boy. Hey, what's up, Izzy? Also known as the Kool-Aid Man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
I got one, Eddie. I've promised myself to spend more time on that toasty, warm, huge, heated outdoor patio of yours. It's nothing like having your coat off, drinking the coldest beer in town with hundreds of your family, friends.
Man, it is a toasted patio, and that's a great resolution. And, thanks for not mentioning things like weight loss and health kick. And it would be hard in Fast Eddie's. It'd be hard to lose any kind of weight or take away from anything when you got the 5-pound Fat Eddie burger, the hot chick on a stick, that big Elwood on a stick, and those succulent peel-and-eat shrimp.
Yeah, I am not losing any weight hanging around your place. I learned it's a lot easier just to make those resolutions simple and fun, buddy.
Man, and that's easy. You're right. That's a great resolution. So make your resolution fun. And head on over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air. You know where to go across that big, beautiful Clark Bridge and come into Alton, Illinois. So like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, we'll see you at Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
Kool-Aid Man.
When I first got into the real estate market when I was much, 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 much younger, 30 plus years ago, things were pretty easy. You put a house up, it sold, you bought a new one. It was really that. But in today's market, it's not like that. In today's market, the agent that you choose matters more than it ever has. And to me, there's just one great, clear choice, and that's Gloria Liu. Look, I'm Kevin Wheeler, and I got to tell you, I've gotten to know Gloria over the last couple of months. She walked me through how their systems work, what separates them from other real estate agents. And I'll tell you this, with Gloria Liu and Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, there is no better option. She sells homes faster and for more than the average agent. She has a database of thousands of buyers in waiting. And a lot of them are looking for a home that might be yours, and they're right there waiting so that your home could already be sold. And she's helped thousands of families in her 23 years. Think about that. 23 years in real estate. That experience and her systems set Gloria apart. And look, the average agent sells 4 or 5 homes a year. Gloria sells one about every other day, just to give you an idea of perspective there. So here's what you want to understand. Gloria has a couple of different upfront written guarantees. She will sell your home at a price and in a time frame acceptable to you, or she will buy it. And the other option is she'll sell your home at 100% of market value, or she will pay you the difference. You're not going to find those options anywhere else. So when you're ready to sell, do yourself a favor. Call Gloria Liu, 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. As always, seller and Gloria must agree on price and possession date.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead. On your terms, text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
Game day starts before kickoff. Get ready for the big game with help from Menards. Find great deals on sofas and recliners to keep guests comfortable all game long. Score big savings and stock up on game day goodies. Shop a variety of snacks and drinks to keep your party fueled up. Make Menards a part of your game plan. Shop in store or on Menards.com and save big money.
Save big money at Menards.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
They got a couple of delays on northbound 55 north of A, midway up to McNutt, and then a jam on northbound 55 north of the Union Road overpass up to River to Pear. Only one lane's getting through past that crash there. Eastbound 44 Kings Highway through Grand, you still have the roadwork delays. Westbound 64 is still a little slow, Clayton, Skinker, McCausland area, and out in St. Charles County, it's backed up west of Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70. Eastbound 64 is slow through the Interbelt, and a little backup past the ballpark to the Poplar. We had a minor crash in that area. Otherwise, southbound 270, the ramp lanes at the Rock Road, north 170, a little busy at Airport Road. I'm Roger Brand in the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Nate Gatter, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you here for about another 4 minutes before we take off. And then you got Sports Open Line coming up after the top of the hour with Nate. So hang tight for that. You got 2 more hours of sports here on KMOX. All right, Bernie, back to the point you were making. I think that you made a little bit of this point on DGS earlier today. I think it's really cool.
Listen, I could give you a bunch of them. I'm just going to limit it to a couple. It's amazing to me how the Super Bowl has turned into this underdog killer, or the underdog killing the favorite. I mean, it's especially if you're wagering against the spread, right? Okay, so in the last 28 Super Bowls, the team that is the better playoff seed coming into the playoffs, the better seeded team, or they're 2-17-2 against the spread. That's a 10.5%. That's a 10.5% success rate covering the spread, the better team. And over the past 24 years, underdogs in the Super Bowl are 18-6 against the spread. That's 75%. And then that includes a 14-4 record, 77.7% in the last 18 Super Bowls. I mean, I think that stuff's remarkable, really. And maybe we assume the favorite is just far superior, and sometimes they are. But that's why I just think this is going to be a tight game. And one of the reasons, and this will be the last thing I say, one of the reasons I think Seattle's got the better overall team, okay? The other thing is their coach, Mike McDonald, who is a brilliant strategist. He confuses the heck out of quarterbacks. You never know what he's going to do. He has great schemes. He's full of surprises. Since he became their head coach at the start of the 2024 season, when the Seahawks have played a quarterback that is in their first, second, or third year, so Drake May, that applies to him. Seattle is 10-1 in those games, and the quarterbacks have horrendous numbers. Oof. I mean, just horrendous. So I think the McDonald factor is going to be really big in tilting this game towards the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I mean, especially because of, I go back to how it was at the end of the regular season, the Week 18 game against San Francisco. Actually, I have former Broncos offensive lineman and Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris is going to be with me on Sports Open Line, and he and I called that game for Westwood One, and it was overwhelming the way that Seattle just suffocated San Francisco. Seattle's defense did. And part of that is that their defensive line has been really good, and they've been able to create some pressure without blitzing a whole lot.
Yeah.
They pick their spots. I think Aaron Schatz said he thinks that we're going to see a lot of blitzing from the Patriots in this game because of the fact that the Seahawks have not done, that Darnold is not particularly effective against the blitz. Patriots are going to want to take away the play action where Darnold is at his best. The one thing I'll say on the Seattle defense side, and it's impossible to know with the information we have, or really the information we don't have at this stage, Nick Emanwari, their rookie sort of slot guy, linebacker, strong safety linebacker type, one of those hybrid role guys who's kind of all over the field for them defensively in their secondary, had the ankle injury in practice a couple of days ago. I think his health, if he plays, which I think he will.
Sounds like he's planning on it.
If he's at least, say, 80%, probably not a big deal. If you're at a 50% or worse, Emanwari, that's going to be a real problem for them, because I think he allows McDonald to get really creative because of how many different things he can do. He can cover really well. He can blitz. You can trust him in the open field to bring somebody down. He has been phenomenal this year. Ryan Harris, you'll hear that interview coming up on Open Line. He said that he thinks Eamon Warrior is one of the best football players he's ever seen, period.
Wow.
Not one of the best rookies this year, one of the best football players he's ever seen,
He's
period.
pretty fun to watch, man.
He is very
like
good.
literally when you're watching them, he's everywhere.
He's elite.
Yeah, he's really just fantastic to watch. All right, boys, buckle in. We got a fun weekend to come. We got Super Bowl on Sunday, and then as soon as the Super Bowl is over, we got people reporting to Jupiter. And this year we get the bonus of World Baseball Classic, which means we get some meaningful, entertaining games before we even get to the regular season. So good stuff coming your way. Bernie, have a great weekend. Nate, have a great weekend. Daniel, have a great weekend. Everybody listening, stay tuned. You got Sports Open Line next on KMOX.
Italian subs for your finance team at Chicago. Easy Cater. Burritos for your call center crew in Plano. Easy Cater. Bagel sales reps meeting clients in Charlotte. Easy Cater. Hot chicken sandwiches for your third shift warehouse workers in Memphis. Easy Cater. Your teams may be spread out across the country, but you've got one platform to feed them all, whenever and wherever they work, with food they love from favorite restaurants. Easy Cater. Food for the workplace, all in one place. Order now at easycater.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season.
Download the most recent white paper written by E3 Consultants Group titled The Power of a Professional Tax Strategy Team. Go to e3wealth.com/radio to obtain a copy. It's time to learn about wealth and tax strategies that protect your personal and business economy. E3 is ready to help you think differently about your finances. Educate, empower, enlighten. That's the E3 difference.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got the crash northbound 55 at River to Pear. Only one lane's open. The left lane looks like it's the one that's open now. It's a solid jam back to the Union Road overpass. And northbound 55 north of A, midway up to McNutt, there's road work backing you up at that point as well. Eastbound 44 road work. Delays east of Kings Highway into Grand. The right lane's closed there. Westbound 64 a little slow at the city limits. After that, you have a good run till you get out to west of Lake St. Louis Boulevard. And then it's a solid jam out onto the ramp to westbound 70 if you're headed that way. Eastbound 64, just a little slow past the Interbelt right now. Don't forget tonight, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, they're going to have the restrictions northbound 270 between 64 and Ladue. It's going to be down to one lane and all weekend. So beginning tonight through Monday morning at about 5, Conway Road underneath 270 there is going to be shut down so they can demolish that bridge. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. A racist post on President Trump's social media account depicting former President Obama and his wife Michelle as primates in a jungle has been taken down. The White House initially defended the Republican president's post last night, but it was deleted today after widespread backlash. More from CBS's Weijia Zhang.
Right now, the White House says it was an unidentified staffer who was responsible for this. And I can tell you all day, we have been pressing the White House about who this person was. What kind of access does he or she have to the president's phone and social media accounts? And what kind of consequences, if any, this person will face?
President Trump earlier was asked by reporters about the online post and ignored the question. The FBI arrests a suspect in the deadly 2012 Benghazi attack. Feds say Zubair al-Bakush was a key participant in the attack on a U.S. compound in Benghazi, Libya, that killed U.S. Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other Americans. He's in custody. CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
There could have been dozens of Americans who were killed that night. Local militia, friendly militia, and local SEAL teams were able to evacuate Americans from that consulate area to an annex, which is about a half-mile away.
The Dow closed above 50,000 for the first time. CBS's Jason Brooks.
The Dow soared higher by more than 1,200 points as stocks rebounded from a week of heavy tech selling, with AI chipmaker NVIDIA leading the Dow's big rally, with big assists to Caterpillar, 3M, and Goldman Sachs. In addition to the Dow topping 50,000, the NASDAQ and S&P 500 also surged higher, overcoming a rough day for Amazon.
A day after the last video plea by the Guthrie family in an effort to find their mother, CBS's Andres Gutierrez reports the local sheriff's department says it's aware of another letter sent to a local news station.
They're trying to verify the latest note. They have investigators also found out conducting interviews, including family members. Law enforcement officials have said that they are speaking to anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie and that this is a common practice to rule out potential suspects and to build a timeline on the victim's last known whereabouts.
Police in Maryland have made an arrest after a second grader fired a gun in his classroom Wednesday. CBS's Michael Wallace.
The boy shot himself in the finger at Freetown Elementary School in Glen Burnie. Anne Arundel County Police Captain Jacqueline Davis says the boy's teacher administered first aid and secured the handgun.
This teacher today showed what a hero looks like.
Police say the boy had brought the gun from home. His mother's boyfriend has been charged with leaving a loaded firearm accessible to a minor.
Colorado funeral homeowner who abused corpses is sentenced to 40 years in prison. This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to the official 48 Hours After Show post-mortem on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-793-9858. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-793-9858 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-793-9858 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-793-9858.
604, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. He rose from the streets of St. Louis to become a vital part of 1960s and 70s pop music.
The bass singing voice of Lamont McLemore now silenced at age 90. The 1952 Sumner High graduate helped form the Fifth Dimension group after heading west to hone his photography skills learned in the U.S. Navy. McLemore once told WGHT Radio about his rags to riches story.
If I could do it, anybody could, because I really came from a very impoverished situation, and it all worked out.
When asked to choose between a recording booth and concerts,
actually, I like the live appearances better because you actually got a chance to see people's faces and them really enjoying, the fruits of your efforts.
The Fifth Dimension has a star on the St. Louis Walk of Fame. It's in the 6100 block of Del Mar. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
Self-driving cars are currently stuck in park in Illinois. A state lawmaker says it's past time to change that. Here's Jeff Buchholz.
I think it's really cool if it's done right.
But Chicago State House Democrat Cam Buckner told reporters that right now the closest anyone in Illinois can get to a Waymo or other self-driving car is by going somewhere else. And he says the state risks getting left in the rearview mirror. His bill would let Cook County and 2 other areas in Illinois launch a 3-year pilot to make sure autonomous vehicles can operate safely. Statewide approval would follow if the test is successful.
This is really allowing these folks to do a test run to see if this makes sense for Illinois.
And yes, he's ridden in one.
It was one heck of an opportunity.
As excitement builds for the Super Bowl, Illinois officials are warning bettors to be careful where they place their wagers.
With Super Bowl betting expected to surge, the Illinois Gaming Board and Attorney General's office have sent more than 60 cease and desist letters to online casino and sweepstakes operators accused of illegally targeting Illinois residents. State law prohibits internet gambling outside of licensed sports books, casinos, racetracks, and approved video gaming operators. The letters demand the sites immediately block access to users in Illinois or stop Churchill, WBBM.
Let's get you to Roger Brand now at the traffic center.
Well, Michael, we're wrapping up with trouble on 55. We've still got this crash at the city limits. Northbound 55 at River to Pear, only the left lane still open. Northbound 55 is a solid jam back to the Union Road overpass. You have roadwork delays northbound 55 from Highway A most of the way up to McNutt. We have a crash now southbound 55 at Highway M. They just dispatched emergency crews, lane blockage there. Just a short jam for now at that point on southbound 55. So trouble's obviously there. The roadwork's still going on. Eastbound 44, Kings Highway through Grand, you've got delays. Eastbound 64 is still heavy through the Interbelt. Westbound 64 is still a bit of a backup right through Prospect briefly. Westbound across the Poplars a little heavy. Westbound 44 before 55, we had a stall downtown. It's a little heavy there. Don't forget, there's going to be restrictions tonight, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning on North 270 between 64 and Ladue. They're going to have it down to one lane, and they're also going to have restrictions all weekend long starting tonight through 5 a.m. Monday. Conway Road underneath 270 in that work zone is going to be closed so they can demolish that overpass. I'm Roger Brand in Michael's FlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
As expected, temperatures felt pretty good out there today. Pretty good as far as the last 3 weeks are concerned. Partly cloudy skies, a little breezy this evening and overnight. Temperatures this evening will drop back into the upper 30s and 25 for the low. We do have a northwest wind back, so Saturday is going to be sunny, but it is going to be colder. 37 for the high, so nothing extreme, but colder than today. Saturday night, some clouds around 26. Sunday, sunny skies. Southerly flow opens back up. We should pop up to about 54 degrees. Clear skies Sunday night, 32. Monday, sunny, 59, 60. Should do it for the high temperature on Monday. Last time we touched 60 degrees was January 13th. It does look like rain moving in late Tuesday and Tuesday night. Right now, it's looking like an all-rain situation. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is partly cloudy right now, 42 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now. From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Friday night, Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX. Nate Gatter with you in for Matt Pauley, who's getting ready to head down to Jupiter, Florida to run point on our KMOX Cardinal Spring Training coverage starting next week. I'll be back with you next week as well on Monday before we get that Cardinal Spring Training coverage underway in earnest, and Matt will have open line next week thereafter down in Jupiter. Next Monday, don't forget as well, the St. Louis Billikens Coaches Show will be here on KMOX from 6 to 7 with Josh Schertz. I will have Sports Open Line after that from 7 to 8. The Billikens now have won 16 games in a row. We will visit with assistant coach Corey Tate, who has now been part of a couple of coaching regimes here in St. Louis, and he will be with us at 7:05 right out of the news at the top of the hour to begin our second hour of the program. Corey Tate, St. Louis assistant coach, with us before the Billikens host LaSalle tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Our pregame here on KMOX will get underway at 1:45. The Bills and the Explorers. Bob Ramsey, Billikens Hall of Famer, and now a St. Louis Sports Hall of Famer. Congratulations to our own Bob Ramsey, a St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame inductee. He will be on the call alongside Earl Austin Jr., and that game is sold out. Can you believe that? Not just a sellout. I mean, it's a Saturday afternoon. It's nothing especially surprising about a good St. Louis team selling out on a Saturday afternoon at Chaffetz Arena, but to do it against LaSalle is a bit unusual. That tells you just how high the demand is right now, and why not? The Bills are 22-1. They're 10-0 in the Atlantic 10. They've won 16 games in a row. They're 15-0 at Chaffetz Arena this year, and they will go back at it against LaSalle tomorrow. But the Explorers have not been that team, right? They're just not in a good place as a program over these last several years. I think they're moving maybe cautiously in the right direction because of the fact that they've got that arena renovation done, and all of that looks a lot better. But to be selling out games against LaSalle is just not something that happens all the time. This is a team in 12th place in the Atlantic 10 at 3-7 in the conference, 7-16 overall. They've lost their last 3 games. They are just 1-9 away from home. SLU beat them a month ago in Philadelphia by 12, a game that really was never even that competitive, kind of got closer at the end and maybe didn't look as bad as it really was. There are 3 losses in a row for LaSalle coming into this one. At Fordham, lost by 6. At home against St. Joe's, lost by 9. At Loyola Chicago, lost by 10. Now, the 2 games before that, they beat St. Bonaventure by only 4. Of course, the Billikens hammered the Bonnies on the road, and they beat Dayton by 3. Both of those games at home in Philadelphia. They've had some lopsided losses by 21 to Richmond, by 22 to George Washington. Certainly, this is a game that the Billikens should be able to handle. Can't take anybody lightly. They will then be going on the road to play Loyola and Rhode Island before the next really big game on the schedule. And it's going to be a big finish to the year. The next really big game on the schedule is 2 weeks from tonight when they host VCU for the Billiken Blue Out. That's a 6 o'clock tip-off on Friday the 20th. Then at Dayton, and they will finish the year at George Mason. Those Dayton and George Mason games on the road, of course, will be major challenges. But I'm sure Corey Tate will tell us at 7:05, one game at a time. And although it's coach speak, and although it is a little bit boring sometimes, there is really nothing else to do. You can't play them multiple games at once. Wouldn't want to, even if you could. So we'll talk plenty of Billikens. Talked about the Cardinals during Rush Hour Sports. There is one bit of, I guess it's only quasi-Cardinals news breaking here in the last few minutes. It's former Cardinals news, and that is that Paul Goldschmidt has re-signed with the New York Yankees on a 1-year contract. 38-year-old Goldschmidt going back to the Bronx. He had .274 last year with an OPS of .731. Good against left-handed pitching, in particular in the playoffs. So the Yankees bring back Paul Goldschmidt for another season. It'll be his second year there in the Bronx. The Cardinals, of course, are heading fully into this rebuild. We've talked about it at length, especially since the Brendan Donovan trade has kind of fully sealed that now the pieces of value on this roster have pretty much been stripped off, with the exception maybe of Lars Nootbaar. And, of course, by pieces of value, we don't mean that those are the only guys who could get anything in a trade. Mason Wynn could get a lot. J.J. Weatherholt could get a ton. We mean the guys who are old enough at stages of their careers where they're probably not going to be especially useful to the Cardinals by the time this rebuild is coming to its conclusion and the Cardinals are ready to contend again. Or at the very least, if those guys were still useful, because I'm not going to say that Lars Nootbaar and Brendan Donovan couldn't still be useful players 3 or 4 years from now when the Cardinals would hope to be back in the mix again. Maybe it could be sooner. The question is also about price tag and what those guys will be worth relative to their price tag getting into their 30s. Obviously, we all understand this, and that's why you make moves with those guys. So Lars Nootbaar is really the only guy left who fits the bill as somebody who would probably be a trade candidate, where he has more value to other teams with the player he is at the stage of his career he's in than he does to the Cardinals. But with his heel injuries and his uncertainty for opening day and the fact that his value in general is just not at its high point right now, it makes sense for the Cardinals to hang on to him probably until the trade deadline, and we'll just see what kind of Lars Nootbaar we get for the first half of the season, or at least as much of the first half of the season as he is healthy and available and out on the field. The other bit of Cardinals that I want to talk about, we got a really nice comment. You can comment on any of our streams wherever you're following, Facebook, on X, on YouTube. You can also call into the show, 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can text us, or you can leave a voice message on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY, where you can always hear anything going on live on KMOX or any of our podcast content as well. Go back and hear what we discussed in Rush Hour Sports. And there was some good Cardinals conversation in the first half hour of that show. Unfortunately, well, fortunately for us, we got a great comment from Matt on YouTube. Unfortunately, Matt waited until 5:27 to ask his great question, and we were out of time to talk about the Cardinals. So, Matt, clean it up a little bit. That is not good radio producing on your part, but a good question in general. It was, can one or all of you share an example of a team at this stage in a rebuild that had a season you considered entertaining, even if they weren't winning? Because we've been talking, and I think with good reason, about the Cardinals being a team who this year figured to be entertaining and interesting, even though they probably won't be very good. They probably will not be any kind of serious contender to win the division or go to the playoffs. They might not even be a serious contender to flirt with the 500 mark, right? They might be off in the corner of the bar, not flirting with anybody. But that doesn't mean they won't be entertaining and interesting for this fan base. And I think a lot of folks are on board with that. So let's talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. And although Matt's question was for one or all of you, meaning Kevin Wheeler and Bernie Miklas, who were with me during Rush Hour Sports, you're going to have to deal with the fact that now it's just me. And there's one particular team that comes to my mind in recent history that was not good at all. In fact, probably worse than the Cardinals will be this year, but was nonetheless interesting, even from an outside perspective, as a team that I didn't particularly care about one way or the other, and I think was very engaging for their fan base. We'll talk about that after this. Gray Bar Sports Open Line getting started here on KMOX.
Hey, St. Louis City SC fans, mark your calendars now. The Boys in Red return to Energizer Park to kick off Season 4 Saturday, February 21st. And you could be there for the dawn of a new golden era of St. Louis soccer. Go to stlcitysc.com/tickets and reserve your seat now for the MLS home opener versus Charlotte FC. Limited quantities remain. See you soon, St. Louis.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
Swing and a home run to left. The first major league home run for Albert Pujols.
Among those voices, Dan Deerdorf.
Good football town with a lot of good football fans, and they deserve better than to have both of our teams lead.
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Design your own custom home in our Parkside, Nature, or Tradition series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit LombardoHomes.com to learn more.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the KMOX special.
100 years, one legendary voice. Relive KMOX's century of service, classic audio, photos, videos, and more at KMOX100.com.
Gray Bar Sports Open Line continues this evening. Nate Gatter back with you in for Matt Pauley. Told you we're going to be talking Billikens later in this hour. Corey Tate, assistant coach of the St. Louis University men's basketball team, will visit with us just after the top of the hour, 7:05 or thereabouts. We will talk to Mr. Tate. And then around 7:30, 7:35, we're going to hear a conversation that I had just an hour or two ago with Ryan Harris, former offensive lineman for the Denver Broncos. He was a Super Bowl champion in Santa Clara playing for the Broncos when they beat the Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl 50, the only other time the Super Bowl has been played at Levi's Stadium. He will be there as part of the Westwood One national radio broadcast team, helping with the analysis, pregame, halftime, postgame shows, and you will hear his thoughts. I think it's really interesting during the second hour, talking about the Super Bowl, and we'll spend some time on the NFL. If you've got any other questions or comments, topics that you want us to discuss this evening, feel free to make your voice a part of the show. Talkback feature on the free Odyssey app, in our comment sections on Facebook, X, YouTube, or by calling our listener line at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. Before the break, we started to talk about the Cardinals and how this season sets up. And a really interesting comment we got from Matt on YouTube during Rush Hour Sports. Just once again, in case you weren't with us, he said, can one or all of you, again, he was talking about Kevin Wheeler and Bernie Miklasz. We were out of time, so he only gets me, share an example of a team at this stage in a rebuild that had a season you considered entertaining, even if they weren't winning. What stands out to me, and this was kind of just my first instinct. Well, there were a couple others, actually. One of my first instincts was the Cubs the year that Chris Bryant got called up. And I was like, there was a lot of energy around that team. And then I looked them up, and they won 97 games that year. So that does not count, right? That's way better than we expect the Cardinals to be this year. So I'm ruling that one out because that would not be fair. So I'm looking for a team in the last 10 or 15 years that did not have a good season, but did have excitement around them, and as a result, did have entertainment value. And to me, the one that stood out was the 2017 Chicago White Sox. They won only 67 games. They actually fired their manager at the end of the season, Rick Renteria. And it was not a good season, right? They finished fourth in the 5-team division, just a few games ahead of Detroit. They lost 95 games. I think we expect the Cardinals to be better than that. Vegas expects them to be at least a few games better. We talked about it 2 nights ago on Sports Open Line. Last time I saw Vegas had the Cardinals over-under line on wins for the season at 69.5. So let's call the Cardinals a 70-win team right now. I think they might win a couple more than that, but let's say 70 wins. The White Sox were worse than that by 3 games in 2017. But they had a young Tim Anderson. They had a young-ish Jose Abreu. They called up Yoan Moncada in the middle of that season. I think it was June or July that he made his White Sox debut, which wasn't his major league debut because he had a cup of coffee in the big leagues when he was still with Boston the year before. But it felt in many ways like his big league debut because we all understood he was coming up kind of for the first time to stick for good. And he was also coming up in an environment where he was going to get a lot more runway from the White Sox that year. He played in 54 games. And they had some young guys in the rotation, too. Jose Quintana was young-ish. He was their opening day starter. But they had Carlos Rodon, who started a dozen games for them. And they had a young Carson Fulmer. He really didn't end up panning out all that much, but he was a pretty big-name guy at the time, big-name prospect coming out of Vanderbilt. And they had a young Lucas Giolito, who they acquired in the trade with Washington that sent Adam Eaton to the Nationals. a young Ronaldo Lopez as well, for what that was worth. I think he had some excitement around him. So they had a young rotation with the exception of James Shields, who was kind of a testament to everything that put the White Sox in that position, having been the subject of one of the worst White Sox trades in their franchise history, sending Tatis to San Diego for Shields, who had an ERA over 5 that year. So it's not to say that everything was great, in the same way that everything probably won't be great for the Cardinals this year. There will be points of frustration. There will be points when you don't feel like watching them, maybe because they're not especially competitive. I don't mean that they won't be competitive game to game, but they're not especially competitive in the broad scheme of things, right? This is not going to be the kind of Cardinals season that we're used to. It's not going to have the kind of Cardinals narratives that we're used to. Even last year, we spent significant stretches of the middle of summer talking about, are the Cardinals sellers even at the deadline? Could they consider being moderate buyers at the deadline and pushing for a wild card spot because of how May and June went for the Cardinals? And that really wasn't resolved until mid-July, probably, that it became clear which direction the Cardinals were going to have to go. That's probably not going to be the case this year. Even if the Cardinals had a shockingly good first half of the season, it's unlikely they would be anything but very, very marginal buyers, right? They're not going to give up anything that would compromise the future of the organization in any way. And in all likelihood, they're just going to be a below average team that is perfectly fine. They're not going to be probably one of the worst teams in baseball, but it would be very surprising if they are in any kind of legitimate contention for a wild card spot, right? So we're going to be having different conversations that are typical around the Cardinals. To me, though, to answer that question that Matt left in our YouTube comments, it's the 2017 White Sox, because wouldn't that be great? Now, I realize that youth movement for the White Sox, Moncada chief among them, did not really pan out the way we would have hoped, right? There was a tremendous amount of optimism around the White Sox in the late 2010s because of the young assets they had stockpiled. Some of that is because some of those guys panned out much better after they left Chicago, right? I mean, Carlos Rodon had some success in Chicago. Lucas Giolito had some success in Chicago. They have gone on to have more success elsewhere. There were talented guys on that team, talented young guys who were developing in front of people every single night. To me, and Yoan Moncada had a pretty good rookie year, to be fair, as well. I mean, Moncada had an OPS, I think, in the mid-700s that year for the White Sox in a relatively small sample size, playing 54 games. He had only 231, but yeah, his OPS was 750. 338 OBP, 412 slugging. Pretty solid. There was a lot of reason to be excited about Moncada and excited about the White Sox. I was actually in the ballpark. I think that's part of the reason that this one stood out to me. I happened to be in Chicago for unrelated reasons, and I was in the ballpark when Moncada made his debut. And there was an energy in that ballpark that there hadn't been since the White Sox had been a playoff team several years prior. And I think that's really fun, right? People understand when a franchise is moving forward. A franchise doesn't have to be winning a lot to be moving forward. It's part of the reason that I think there's such better energy around the Cardinals right now. Around the conversations that we're having right now about the Cardinals, to me, are much more positive, much less toxic than they were down the stretch last year, even though this year's team sets up to be probably worse than last year's team. Probably this team will win fewer games than last year's team. Why then are we talking about them more positively? It's because there's a direction that we all understand, and anyone who knows baseball can tell that the Cardinals right now are set up to move the franchise forward. That the 2026 season is likely to accelerate the Cardinals' path toward competing for and ultimately winning their 12th World Series championship. That doesn't mean that they're going to win a lot of games this year. It doesn't mean that at the end of the season, you're going to feel like they're on the cusp of competing for a World Series. It just means that all of us collectively can feel confident right now, more confident than we have recently, that in October 2026, the Cardinals will be in a better position than they are right now, that the Cardinals will gain something out of this season, that this will be a profit season, not in a literal dollars and cents way, but this will be a profitable season for the direction of the organization. They will acquire equity in their championship chase this year, rather than, say, last season, where I think in February there wasn't a tremendous amount of confidence the Cardinals were going to be better off in October, in part because it felt like they were holding a bunch of depreciating assets, right? Their stocks were in the red. in many cases. Some of their highest price assets were in the red for a lot of last year. They were losing value every day, every week. This year feels likely to be the opposite, that a lot of their most important assets are going to be accruing value. And that doesn't mean the goal is to trade them. Just speaking in broad strokes here, that the Cardinals are getting better every day, getting better every week, getting better every month, getting closer to being that team, even if it's 3, 4, 5 years away, getting closer to being that team who competes for a World Series again. And we understand that these steps are necessary. And I think the White Sox, although they never got to being that team who was seriously competing for a World Series, I think the White Sox were in a similar place in 2017, and everybody understood what we're doing right now on a day-to-day basis, even if for the 17 White Sox it led to winning only 67 games, is productive. Last year felt too often unproductive for the Cardinals. Not that it was negative per se, but there just wasn't a lot being gained. They were putting in the effort to show up to the ballpark and play games every single day, and they weren't moving the franchise forward. I think this year the franchise is going to move forward, and collectively, not everybody, but the vast majority of the fan base and the people around this city feel that's likely, and that's why the energy is in such a better place. We have Mike on the phone, and poor Mike has been waiting for a while because I started talking about all of that, and I forgot that he was there. And, Mike, I owe you an apology for that. But to make it up to you, you're on KMOX. What's on your mind?
Thanks. No problem. Hey, listen, I agree with everything that you're saying. I do think that I can fully see the way these fans are going nuts over the trades. I can see the Cardinals actually be somewhat competitive and then not trying to trade assets away. And then it comes back to, the Cardinal owners are cheap. I can hear that already, but that's not why I called. And another thing on what you were saying about last year, I think they got derailed on their plan because they actually were competitive. And this is kind of where I'm going with this. They've obviously traded away the opportunity for Ollie to keep running the same freaking people out there, the vets. I'm so glad that they've gone down this road. I'm excited. Even if they lose 100 games, I'm excited about it. But my main question is, with Gorman, people keep saying, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't hit lefties. He actually hit 5 home runs against lefties last year. He hit 9 against righties. Now that's he had in many, many, many fewer at-bats. And if you look at his career splits, they're not that different. And even he said, I don't think I'm that bad against lefties, but he's gotten this rap. And my question is, if you're really, truly going to see if the guy can play, is Ollie going to let him hit against lefties, or is he going to pinch it for him most of the time? And I do understand that you also need to see guys perform as pinch hitters, but if you truly want to see what he has, I want to see him batting at least 80% of the time against lefties and not being pulled or benched or, not in the lineup when there's a lefty, because I want to see what the guy can do, because nobody in the organization has his power. So anyway, that's my main question. And I guess my question is for you, do you think Ollie will give him the leash, or is it going to be back to, we need to get this win tonight, and maybe they pinch it for him? And so maybe you can answer that.
Mike, I appreciate the call and thank you for waiting. I think that's a very good point that you bring up. And it's fair, your point that Gorman's numbers really, even for his career, his OPS is only 3 points better against righties than lefties. 720 against righties, 717 against lefties. And last year he was actually better by an appreciable margin. Now, both numbers were not great, but he was actually better by an appreciable amount against lefties. He was almost 100 OPS points better against lefties, 740 versus 644, lefties versus righties. We touched on it briefly during Redbird Rush Hour, that this is one of the almost luxuries of this season for Ollie Marmol, is that he's going to be allowed to do more of that because he'll be freed a little bit from the day-to-day win chase, right? That's not to say they don't want to win, right? But he's not going to have to prioritize, especially if the Cardinals are 20 games out in August. he's not going to have to prioritize winning every single game over providing runway, which I know, again, is a word that we all kind of use in air quotes now because it feels like it has an inherent irony attached to it after how the runway season was last year with so many veteran guys still getting so much opportunity. Now, how will fans react to that? I don't know. But I do think there are going to be times, we talked about it in the context of leaving pitchers out there a little bit longer, but I think that makes perfect sense. To me, I would not be looking to pinch hit against lefties automatically for guys like Gorman and Burleson. Part of the point of this season is that you have the luxury of putting those guys out there and seeing what they can do, including in big at-bats, even against difficult matchups. What can they show you? And I think for those guys, it's good too. I don't want Nolan Gorman looking over his shoulder as he's walking up to the plate, wondering if Ali Marmol is going to yank him, right? If you're going to become a high-end, middle-of-the-order hitter, you can't have that. I'm looking over my shoulder wondering if I'm even going to get to take this at bat. Same way, I don't want him dreading looking at the lineup card because he had a bad game the day before, thinking that he's going to get yanked and he's going to have to sit the bench for 3 days. And I want him to feel confident he's in the lineup every day. He can go 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts and he's in the lineup again the next day. There should be an element of that this year. That doesn't mean the leash is forever. This is Major League Baseball. He's a professional athlete who's been in the majors now for several years. He is responsible for his performance. Production is his currency. And so if we get to August and he's hitting a $180, which I don't think is likely, but if he's hitting a $180 with an OPS in the low to mid 600s in August, is he going to get to stay in the lineup every day just because we said this is a season for Gorman to play every day? No. Obviously, at some point, the sample size is large enough. You say we're cutting bait. Somebody else is getting more at bats now, right? Thomas Sajaci's going to get more time, whatever it might be. But I do think whether it's keeping guys in the lineup after poor games, even a couple of them in a row, and allowing them to play through it, or keeping guys in against difficult matchups, left on left, whatever it might be, at the tail end of games where you would otherwise use a pinch hitter if you were in the midst of a pennant race, I absolutely think that's something we see here. Starting pitchers, go ahead and work out of this tough jam in the 5th or 6th inning. When if we were in a playoff game, we would have taken you out an inning or two ago. And if we were in a pennant chase in August or September, we would be thinking about lifting you here. Go ahead. Pitch to this guy. Pitch counts at 87. Bases are loaded. 2 outs in the 5th. We're going to see if you can get out of this inning. And then we might try to squeeze you for one more. See how you do as you hit 100 pitches or a little bit more. And if that lowers the Cardinals' chances to win that game by some marginal amount, even by an appreciable amount, I still think it's probably worth it. That's going to be Ali Marmol's task to manage that on a day-to-day basis. I think he is very, very, very well equipped to do that. I hope that the fans give him the grace there. Not even the grace. That makes it sound like you're having to just accept something that's not good. Right? That sounds like you're being charitable. It's not charity. I hope fans give him the understanding. I hope they have the perspective of the position that he's in and what his job really is this year. Because it's different than a typical year. And to Bernie Miklas's point on Rush Hour Sports, you can't really rant about ownership not spending enough money and the front office or prior iterations of the front office not acquiring the right players or letting the wrong players go, and then complain that the manager isn't good because the team's not winning. But if your position is nobody's spending any money on this roster, the players that we have aren't good enough, well, then you can't be surprised if the manager can only produce decent to below average results, right? It's not a reasonable expectation of Ali Marmol to go out there and win 85 or 90 games if you spent the whole offseason complaining about how you're putting together a 65-win roster. It might well be what you get, right? He can only, put together so much play in those joints or manipulate so much play in those joints. The structure is the structure, and he's handed the roster that he is, and all he can do is fill out the 9 names on the card any given night. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll transition toward a little bit of Bill. Well, maybe we'll get to these last few comments. We've got some comments coming in on YouTube about the Cardinals. Maybe we'll get to those. But latter stage of this hour, we'll be talking about the Billikens as well. Ready to chat with Corey Tate, Billikens assistant coach, at the beginning of our second hour. And then Super Bowl later on with our final open line here before the Super Bowl on Sunday. Ryan Harris will be with us at the bottom of the second hour to discuss all that and more coming up on KMOX.
Hey guys, it's Dave from The Glover Show, trying to explain The Glover Show. So when I was a younger man, I used to go to happy hour almost every night, and I loved it. And I've always thought of my show as being like happy hour. It's always interesting. It's often silly, but not always. There are real things to talk about. I am amongst friends, politics, and personal things. So that's what it is, really. It's happy hour for thousands of us every day between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m., and I hope you'll tune in and join the happy hour.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. It's a great time to buy a brand new home, and Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon is taking shape. We've got our first foundations in the ground, and our display home will be opening soon. This community features walking trails, a beautiful lake, a berry patch honoring the land's history, a private playground, and Fort Zumwalt schools. It's a fresh start and a great location. Visit McKelveyHomes.com to schedule your tour of Strawberry Farms. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Soulard is going to the dogs. Make sure to bring your four-legged friend to the streets of Soulard for the 33rd annual Purina Pet Parade, the world's largest costume pet parade. It all starts at 12th and Allen, Sunday, February 8th at 1 p.m. And KMOX's own Dave Glover will be leading the pack as the parade's Grand Marshal. Sign up today to march in the parade with your dog. The event supports Open Door Animal Sanctuary. For more details, PurinaPetParade.com. Don't miss this annual St. Louis Mardi Gras tradition, sponsored by Purina.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100. And I'm telling you, I was ecstatic, could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
For your best vision, visit the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates. They're the doctors' doctors. And what that means is more than 250 doctors trust their eyes to the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranja Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. So you should trust your eyes to them as well. Doctors Birdie and Malhotra are also cornea surgeons. They're experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eyes, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and yes, they do LASIK surgery as well. So do it today. Make an appointment with the doctors' doctors, the Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates, and protect your sight. Call them at 314-966-5000. That's 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com. You can find Ophthalmology Associates at 12990 Manchester Road, just a half mile west of 270 on eastbound Manchester. youridoc.com.
In times that feel uncertain, music can bring us together. Join the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra for Prokofiev and Child's Anthems of Resilience. Experience a shared journey of hope through Prokofiev's Symphony No. 5, Rena Esmail's Remember, and Billy Child's Diaspora, featuring saxophonist Stephen Banks. February 6th and 7th at Powell Hall at the Jack C. Taylor Music Center. Tickets at slso.org.
Hey, Cardinal Cowboy here. Who would have thought a car crash would have led to charities, TV shows, and cheering with the best fans in the world? I'm thankful for every day. And so are my friends at Renner Garage Door. They've been turning garage doors from zero to hero since 1966. With help from trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, honest family-style service you can count on. So giddy up and get your free repair or replacement quote today. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley. Cardinals pitchers and catchers are about to report to spring training in Jupiter, Florida, and I'll be there bringing you everything you need to know.
Listen for Matt's reports throughout the day, starting Tuesday. Sponsored by St. Louis Composting and a Happy Roof on the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
We continue on Gray Bar Sports Open Line this Friday evening. Nate Gatter back with you in for Matt Pauley. Plan was to do a little bit of Billikens before we talk to Corey Tate in our second hour with St. Louis at 22-1 and taking on LaSalle 2:00 tomorrow, 1:45. Our pregame with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. here on KMOX. But you all have been very active in wanting to discuss the Cardinals in our comments on YouTube, on Facebook, and our text messages. You can comment anywhere that you might be consuming the stream, including if you're on the free Odyssey app. You can leave a talkback message on that free Odyssey app. And you can call or text us 314-436-7900. We've had a steady stream of text messages. A number of them have come from a 314 number, and he said a lot of things, some of which don't make a lot of sense. But the most recent one is, I was fine with the past because they tried, not fine with this year because they are not trying. Meaning fine with the Cardinals' struggles recently because they were still trying to win, but not so this year because they are not trying to win this season. I get that point. I can see where you're coming from. It is true that the Cardinals are not making the same kind of effort on an organizational level to win this year as they have in recent years. I would argue, however, that as a fan, what I want to see more so than an effort to win a particular game or in a particular season is an effort to win a World Series. And what the Cardinals have been doing the last few years is not efforting to win a World Series, at least not in any kind of serious way, right? Not in a legitimate way. It would have taken an enormous amount of luck for any Cardinals team in the last few years to win a World Series. Take some luck to win a World Series almost no matter who you are. But the Cardinals obviously were not set up as a serious World Series contender last year or the previous few years. And last year, this same 314 number, one of the things that he weighed in saying was that last year the Cardinals should have traded J.J. Weatherholt to get an ace. That would have been comical. The Cardinals won, 77 games last year? How many more do you think they win with an ace? Let's put Paul Skeens on the damn team. You think they win the World Series? They probably squeak into the playoffs. You think they win the World Series? And that's not the kind of ace that you could have acquired. It would have been somebody much further along in his career. J.J. Weatherholt sets up to be a huge piece of this organization for a decade or longer, and one who's going to be much, much less expensive than that hypothetical ace likely would have been, at least for the foreseeable future, which is going to allow the Cardinals, because of how young this core is, how controllable it is, and how therefore cost-effective it is, to, in 3 to 5 years from now, when they hopefully enter a window where they can compete for World Series, to be in a position to pay guys, whether it's extensions for current players or acquiring marquee free agents, or maybe some of both, to have the financial flexibility to add what they need when the roster is in a position to strike. In my mind, although I get the point that on a micro level, zoomed in to view only this season in a vacuum, the Cardinals are doing less to win than they were last year, I would argue, in fact, the Cardinals are doing dramatically more to win in the broad scheme. If what you mean by win is be an elite franchise and win a World Series, because that's what I mean by win. I don't have a lot of interest. I get maybe it's more fun to go to the ballpark on any given day, but it's not particularly inspiring to me to be a team that hopes to win 85 to 90 games every year, squeak out a wild card, maybe win the Central when the division's not very good, and back your way into an NLCS now and again, and then just hope that to get pure lucky from there. That doesn't get me going, right? Let's have an organizational plan to be a World Series contender, because they don't hang banners or put up pennant flags for anything but reaching the World Series. Right? Maybe winning the division gets noted somewhere. That's it. They don't say, made the playoffs this year, got a wild card. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being a consistently above average team. But the Cardinals needed to want more. And what we're seeing from the Chaim Bloom regime so far is ambition, is wanting more. And that is exactly, as a fan, what I would want. This is part of that process. If you're not LA, if you're not New York, this is just part of that process. and you have to accept that. And I think if you do and see this as part of winning in the bigger picture, it doesn't feel so much like the Cardinals are abandoning you and not trying to win, and feels more like, in fact, the Cardinals are trying to serve you and give you an elite baseball team. It just might take some time. More after this on KMOX.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Setting goals for retirement is one thing, but knowing how to achieve those goals is another.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different.
For tips on building a better nest egg, tune into the All Financial Hour with host Steve All, Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX. You can also visit yourmoneymattersstl.com for more details.
Two legendary bands, one massive night of classic rock. Foreigner, performing the songs that defined a generation. You're as cold as ice. And Leonard Skinner, bringing Southern rock anthems to St. Louis. Foreigner, Leonard Skinner, coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater August 6th. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is the story of the one. As an HVAC technician, he and his digital multimeter are in high demand. So when a noisy office HVAC turns out to be a failing blower motor, he doesn't break a sweat. With Grainger's easy-to-use website and product information, he selects the product he needs to keep everything humming right along. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L 544-3600.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Universal Windows Direct. Hopefully after 25 years together, you trust me that I only represent good companies. Universal Windows Direct is great. They have a great deal for the DGS audience. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free. 0% interest for 36 months so you can spread out your payments, same as cash. Also, $500 off your home improvement project. 314-334-2522 or visit universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
When it comes to lighting, Gray Bar goes beyond parts and products. We help contractors turn plans into smart designs, manage kitting and deliverables, and navigate local codes so you can stay on time and on budget. Smart, scalable, job site ready. That's not just lighting. That's like kicking your project into Gray Bar mode. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Now, back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
That's the first hour of our show. We still got a whole nother hour to come. Gray Bar Sports Open line on this Friday evening. Corey Tate, assistant coach of the St. Louis University Billikens basketball team, will be with us on the other side after the news. The Billikens 22-1, unbeaten in the A-10 and in home games at Chaffetz Arena this year. They will host the LaSalle Explorers. 2 o'clock tomorrow is the tip-off, 1:45. Our pregame here on KMOX with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. We'll also talk some Super Bowl in the second hour, visiting with Ryan Harris, Super Bowl 50 champion of the Denver Broncos, now working for Westwood One, covering the game. That conversation coming up as well. 1 hour down. Stay with us. On the other side of the news, we'll keep it rolling right here on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by Ethos.
Video game industry sales rose in December thanks to a big jump in subscription spending. Industry researcher Circana reports that game content rose 3%, mainly due to subscriptions, while PC, cloud, and non-console virtual reality content also saw solid demand. Hardware sales were boosted by Nintendo Switch 2 demand, while Sony's PlayStation and Microsoft's Xbox saw weaker sales. I'm Jason Brooks.
If you own a small business, the pressure never lets up.
Cash flow, tariffs, payroll, taxes, every day starts with a full plate.
So you got ahead of it.
Had to. That's why I checked out Linseek.
How was the process?
It was simple. Linseek's AI platform showed me real funding options. Fast, clear, and no games.
Any upfront costs?
None. Zero out of pocket. No prepayment penalties either. Up to $5 million with funding in as fast as 24 hours.
Start ready, stay ready. Lenseek.com. LENDSEEK.com.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out.
This is an important message for all parents of teens. If your teen or preteen is or has been addicted to social media sites such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, and they have suffered from eating disorders, body image issues, anxiety, depression, or suicidal thoughts, you may be eligible to participate in a lawsuit for significant compensation. Disclosures by a Facebook whistleblower show Instagram and Facebook know their social media platforms were highly addictive and may have caused eating disorders, body image issues, depression, and suicidal ideation. It appears these social media companies knew they had been causing serious harm to kids, but have done little to stop it. If your teen has been harmed by social media like Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube, then you could be eligible for significant compensation. If you'd like to discuss a lawsuit, text LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232, LEVEL to 323232.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson, Media Advertising Specialists, LLC, is responsible for the content of this ad with principal offices in Chicago, Illinois.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55, but unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Breakfast burritos for the morning brainstorm. Easy Cater. Paninis for the lunch and learn. Easy Cater. Barbecue for the clients from Boston. Easy Cater. Brownie boxes and mini bun cakes for Brenda's workiversary. Easy Cater. One simple platform to feed any size group with food they love from favorite restaurants, plus tools to help you meet dietary needs and stay on budget. Easy Cater. All the food for your workplace, all in one place. Start an order at easycater.com.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
The
This is CBS News on the Hour, your home for original reporting.
I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump has spoken to South Carolina Republican Senator Tim Scott after Scott called on him to take down a controversial video posted on the president's social media site. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
While several Republicans urged President Trump to take down the video that depicted former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes, the president personally called Senator Scott. Scott is the only black Republican in the U.S. Senate. He's chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, and he's a Trump loyalist. He called the video, quote, the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House. While White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt initially defended the video, the president told Scott the post was a staffer's mistake. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
On Monday, members of Congress will be able to start reviewing the unredacted version of the Epstein files. CBS's Scott McFarland.
Asking a member of Congress to go into a room and look at 3 million pages of records is an ambitious task because if you had a whole team of people, it would take you many weeks to go through 3 million pages. We know this from experience because we've had a team of people and we're still going through the 3 million pages that are out there.
No electronic devices allowed in the reading room. On the East Coast, work on the nation's biggest transportation effort known as the Gateway Tunnel Project is grinding to a halt with hundreds of construction workers facing layoffs due to an indefinite suspension in federal funding by the Trump administration. CBS's Weijia Zhang reports.
The White House earlier this week, or I should say late last month, issued a statement to say that it's Chuck Schumer and Democrats who are standing in the way of a deal for the Gateway Tunnel Project by refusing to negotiate with the Trump administration.
The $16 billion project is intended to create a new set of rail tunnels under the Hudson River connecting New York and New Jersey. Nancy Guthrie disappeared 6 days ago. Authorities believe she was taken against her will, and now CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti reports.
Sheriff's deputies cleared the street in front of Nancy Guthrie's home, telling me that detectives were returning to search the property. What they are looking for at this hour is unclear, but it comes after the FBI has confirmed it received a second message.
As the Patriots and Seahawks refine their game plans before kickoff of Super Bowl 60 on Sunday, the security plan is already in motion with expected anti-ice protests. CBS's Chris Van Cleve also reports from San Francisco.
There will be a no-fly zone in effect around the Super Bowl on Sunday. There are fighter jets and helicopters staged to respond. That includes a no-drone zone. There's also a team out hunting for Super Bowl fakes. They've seized more than $33 million in counterfeit goods so far.
This is CBS News.
Follow and listen to CBS News Roundup on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
It is 7:03 right now, 40 degrees, a partly cloudy sky downtown at the Arch. Today was time for St. Louis native Cardinal Timothy Dolan to say goodbye to his flock in New York City. At St. Patrick's Cathedral in Midtown Manhattan, the new Archbishop of New York was installed. Former Joliet Bishop Ronald Hicks, KMOX religion editor Fred Bodimer reports.
Exactly 1 year ago to the day, Cardinal Dolan celebrated his 75th birthday and by church law had to offer the Pope his resignation. Now on his 76th birthday, he'll take part in the elaborate service to install his successor. While Cardinal Dolan says he'll continue to live in New York City, he's not forgetting about St. Louis.
I'll be able to spend some more time at home with my beloved nieces and nephews and my brothers and sisters.
And Cardinal Dolan tells Fox News he looks forward to doing all the fun priestly things, like conducting masses and baptisms and weddings, along with some possible speaking gigs. He'll remain eligible to take part in any possible papal conclave until he reaches the age of 80. Fred Bodimer, KMOX News.
The country's largest pet parade is set to take over the streets of Soulard this weekend. The Beggin' Pet Parade, a staple of St. Louis Mardi Gras season, is famous for its massive turnout of costumed canines. Purina's Dan Kohler says the event actually holds a spot in the history books.
We are a Guinness World Record holding event. The most dogs in costumed attire set that record back in 2012 with 1,326 dogs wearing costumes parading around the streets in Soulard.
This year's parade kicks off Sunday at 1 p.m. KMOX's Dave Glover is this year's Grand Marshal. A baseball card institution is closing its doors after 36 years. Wally Militzer, owner of 1 million baseball cards in Manchester, has announced he is retiring at the end of the month. In an interview with the show The Card Life, Militzer explained that his decision to open the shop back in 1989 was sparked by a classic movie.
Field of Dreams is on. So you know the routine there. If you build it, he will come. So I'm going, if I open it, they will come.
And for over 3 decades, collectors from all over the region made his shop a destination. The forecast for tonight as we get into the overnight hours, low of 25 degrees. A little bit of a warm up tomorrow, 37 for the high. For Saturday night, clouds, low 26, and a nice warm up for Sunday, lots of sunshine and a high of 54 degrees. Right now, it's a partly cloudy sky standing at 40 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
No Matt Pauley this evening. Nate Gatter with you in his place. Gray Bar Sports Open Line continues into our second hour. We spent the first hour on the Cardinals. If you missed any of that, you can go back and hear it on the free Odyssey app. But it's time to talk about the hottest team, the hottest ticket in the Gateway City at the moment. That is the St. Louis Billikens, 22-1, 10-0 in the Atlantic 10. They've won 16 games in a row, a perfect 15-0 at Chaffetz Arena, and they will host LaSalle in Atlantic 10 play tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock tip-off. We'll have it here on KMOX. Our pregame with Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. will commence at 1:45. And we are joined now by Billikens assistant coach Corey Tate. Coach, how you doing?
All is well. How you guys doing?
We are doing well. You are closing in on your 10-year anniversary as a Billikens assistant coach. That'll come this summer. Second year now under Josh Schertz after 8 with Travis Ford. It's so much fun to have had the continuity of having you on the staff spanning both of those coaching regimes. What do you think has been the biggest change that you've observed, or the things that Coach Schertz does differently that have caused, adjustments or changes within the program in the last couple of years?
Right. Well, I mean, I think they both are great at what they do, who they are. I don't think Coach Schertz is like working harder than Travis, or Travis didn't work as hard. I just think they both have a unique way of helping people achieve goals. And I think Coach Schertz, he's hitting his stride. He got the right pieces, in place right now. And, guys are, clicking at every cylinder.
One of the things that, and we'll get to talking about this year's team and specifically and the game tomorrow in a moment, I promise. But, one of the things that folks would always talk about as one of your real strengths and one of the things that you brought to this program, and objectively it's reality, is how many kids you were able to bring in out of the high school level, especially from here in the St. Louis area, and develop over the course of their 4 years at SLU into all-conference caliber players, into future pros, into, in Jordan Goodwin's case, an NBA player, and he's enjoyed a lot of success. We've been excited to see him really find his footing in the NBA. How has your role and what you've done as far as recruiting, but also maybe especially development, changed now in a transfer portal era where teams are regularly having to rebuild much of their roster annually, and you can't necessarily count on bringing in a high school kid and having him for 4 years?
Correct. Well, I'll tell you this. When Coach Schertz hired me, one of the main things he said he didn't want me to change. He wanted me to be who I am, because, at the end of the day, you have a lot of politics and money, exchanges going on now, but the people still got to be who you are. You still got to be regular people, and that's what people gravitate to, people who's going to push you, people who's going to coach you, and stay on you and help you achieve your goals, and don't let, the money blind you. So that's actually, I haven't done anything different. I still been a relationship builder, a connector, and, still at the same time, I want the same goals for these guys.
To that end, this roster has been put together beautifully, having 9 players who all contribute in their own important ways. 8 different guys have scored 18 points or more in a game now after Brady Dunlap went for 20 in the win over Davidson. You guys have come back from back-to-back, or not back-to-back, but 2 double-digit deficits in the last 3 games, at home against George Washington and then on the road against Davidson. Obviously, the route over Dayton in between. So this team has proven a lot over these recent weeks. What are you looking to see tomorrow that'll tell you that things are continuing, that the growth is there, that you're seeing another step forward?
Well, anytime you play a team like LaSalle, they're going to be Philly tough, right? So you got to be ready for their toughness and their physicality. the way they're going to approach the game. But, LaSalle, they had a great game plan. When the first time they played us, they switched up defenses. They guarded us, man-to-man, then, threw us off with, a couple of different zones. So slowed us down a little bit. But, that's what happens to good teams. They're going to get tested. And, that night we passed the test. So, I wouldn't expect anything different, but hard play, hard-nosed play, from LaSalle.
Is there anything you guys do differently in the lead up to a game like this against a team that's toward the bottom of the league to make sure that the kids are totally locked in and taking everything one game at a time and not peeking ahead at anything that's yet to come on the schedule?
Actually, these players have taken, this team upon themselves. They are the CEO of this team right now. We just making sure everything runs smoothly. Now, what I mean by that is they really care for each other off the floor and on the floor. So they don't want to let each other down. Like, they play, no matter who they're going to play against, they play against themselves, harder than they play in games. So, every day they challenge themselves. So, I wouldn't expect anything different. I think these guys are locked into what they want to achieve, and, they, no matter whose name on the jersey, they're going to play hard and do things they need to do anyway.
St. Louis Billikens assistant coach Corey Tate is with us on Gray Bar Sports Open Line this evening. Coach, could you kind of walk us through or take us inside how a game goes for a coaching staff when all of you guys are sort of working with each other and working with the players to collectively ensure that you're coaching as a staff rather than, obviously from the outside, everybody knows the head coach, right? And everybody kind of assumes that Josh Schertz is running everything. But sometimes during a timeout, he wants to go talk to the officials for a minute or two because that's the most important thing. Or he's got to visit with a particular player about something, right? He can't do everything all the time. How do you guys kind of divvy up responsibilities and ensure that you're all working together in a way that makes the players better?
Right. Well, that's the beauty of like Josh Schertz, Coach Schertz. Before we get to a game, he already knows what he wants, and he knows where he needs people to help him at, and he tells you that's what you need to do. And, once you get to a game, you're just basically doing your job. You're doing your duty. Now, not saying that if you see something that's happening during a game that you can't make it, a suggestion, and that's what we do. Everybody use their strengths, and, nobody is over there working on their weaknesses. Everybody's working on their strengths, and everybody is connecting together and working, together to pull the rope one way.
So I got to ask you this. Obviously, Josh Schertz has been public about it. He's been careful, right? He's been responsible. He's not trying to pay any of his paycheck to the Atlantic 10, but he has had some comments about his frustration with some of the officiating, largely that you guys have often outscored opponents in the paint but still been called for more fouls somehow, and that should not be happening as often as it is. So I want to know who on the staff, is it you or is, if not, who is it, who's the get-back guy who's going to be responsible for grabbing Mr. Schertz when finally he's had enough and we need to make sure he's not venturing too far out there, getting himself in trouble?
It's probably me because of the yin and the yang, But, like every head coach and most coaches and players, they just know no refs get all the calls right, So, but, once it's over and things of that such, we go back and we review the tapes. We realize that they just doing a job like we are too. So, but, when you're passionate at your job, at your craft, a lot of different things comes out. And that's what comes out of coaches, when they, question referees. But I think, most of the referees, they understand it. They can have a conversation. And if you've been doing enough, they'll respect you and listen to you.
Speaking of being passionate about the craft, I mean, for anybody who's passionate about this sport, even for fans, this has been a joyous season. I'm sure that's been true inside the program. What's been your favorite thing about this team and this year?
Leadership, number one. The leadership that they bring every day, right? This team brings, starting with, our captain, Robbie. And, it runs like a well-oiled machine, and then you just know when the guys, they know themselves when they're making mistakes, when they're not playing hard. but, you know, you don't have to do too much to push them, you know. So, you know, you just love seeing young guys, you know, as passionate and as detailed, you know, about certain things that, you know, you are at a different age. You know, everything is aligning for us to, you know, at this moment. And that's a beauty.
To that end, the alignment, obviously, although everybody wants you guys to take it one game at a time, there are plenty of fans who are starting to peek ahead at next month on the calendar, beautiful March, and the possibilities that it presents. If this team is going to maximize its potential, whatever that might be, who knows how far that can take them. But if this team is going to be as good as it can possibly be, what do you want to see them improve over the next 6 weeks?
Well, I mean, you know, just we got to continue, you know, on our defensive effort. You know, we got to win. Not saying we're not going to win it, you know, offensively, but we got to continue to work on our defense. And we got to continue to be rebound tough. We work on those two things. I mean, it's a lot of little things I can say, but like that's going to come. That's going to happen in a game. But mainly, if we get better on our defense, which we're pretty good, and we get better, you know, in rebounding. You know, and just don't turn the ball over as much. I think we could be okay.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. We are rooting for you tomorrow and the rest of the way. Excited to see what's in store for this ball club.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Trust me, you know, these guys understand that, you know, all the fans and that comes out and support the city that's supporting them, they understand that, you know, this is having been given to them. They understand they had to earn it, and they are willing to earn more and to earn these fans over and over and over, because these guys deserve it. They work their butt off every day, and, you know, anything can happen. So why not us?
Why not us? Appreciate you, Coach. Have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Corey Tate, assistant coach for the St. Louis Pelicans, joining us on the phone here on Gray Bar Sports Open Line. We'll take a break and transition to a little Super Bowl talk, because we have a visit with Ryan Harris, Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos, coming up later in this hour, previewing the Seahawks and the Patriots on Sunday. That's still to come. Gray Bar Sports Open Line continues momentarily on KMOX.
St. Louis has a voice.
KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
That voice has shared our stories from headline to history.
In afternoon programming for American radio. The program is called At Your Service.
Among those voices, Mike Kelly.
Kaufman at the 11. Kaufman hurdles man at the 5, fighting for the end zone. Touchdown, Missouri!
Working at KMOX is an honor and a responsibility to represent this community. It's one we take seriously. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This is Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates. You know, the doctors, or just the best doctors to see for your best vision in St. Louis. 314-966-5000, the doctors. They've treated more than 250 doctors. That's more than any other practice. Dr. Greg Birdie, Dr. Ranjan Malhotra, Dr. Robert Bersati, Dr. Andy Royer. 314-966-5000 is their phone number. 314-966-5000. Dr. Birdie, Dr. Malhotra are cornea surgeons and experts in diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the eye, dry eye, allergy eye, cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, LASIK surgery. The Doctors of Ophthalmology Associates experts. Call for an appointment today, 314-966-5000, or visit them online, youridoc.com, 12990 Manchester Road, quarter mile west of 270. 314-966-5000 or youridoc.com.
Looking for your dream home in Wentzville? Welcome to Sutton Farms by Lombardo Homes, where community and comfort come together. Enjoy resort-style living with a private clubhouse, indoor courts, a splash pad, sand volleyball, walking trails, and even a dog park. Design your own custom home in our Parkside, Nature, or Tradition series, all within the top-rated Wentzville School District. Discover the perfect blend of small-town charm and modern convenience at Sutton Farms, located off Piney Road in Wentzville. Visit LombardoHomes.com to learn more.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Zero Res wants to give your home the love and attention it deserves. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119. Take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and mention the KMOX special.
Proudly serving St. Louis for over 100 years. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
More Gray Bar Sports Open Line this Friday evening here on KMOX. Thanks so much for being with us. Nate Gatter with you in for Matt Pauley. Daniel Hinckamp is producing for me in our downtown studios. And you can get in on that conversation as we've offered people all evening. And we had a lot of participants in the first hour of the show talking about the Cardinals. You can go back and hear any of that you missed on the free Odyssey app, AUDACY. You can get involved there with the talkback feature. You can also leave comments on any of our streaming homes on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, or you can call or text us at 314-436-7900. That call text line, once again, is 314-436-7900. We have talked about the Cardinals at some length this evening. We also, just moments ago, chatted with Corey Tate, assistant coach of the SLU men's basketball team at 22-1, undefeated in the Atlantic 10, putting themselves in a very strong position for the number 1 seed in the A-10 tournament. If they could keep it going like this, the A-10 tournament is not going to be dispositive on their NCAA tournament hopes. Certainly, their margin for error remains small. It's easy to forget that when they've won 16 games in a row. But the margin for error is still small, even as the number 19 team in the country. That can go sideways in a hurry for a team in a conference like the Atlantic 10 that is a done-and-dusted one-bid league unless SLU loses in the conference tournament and still makes the tournament, the NCAA tournament, I should say, which is likely at this point. I mean, certainly they are overwhelmingly likely right now to make the NCAA tournament. I talked about it on Wednesday night. I think probably they could lose 2 regular season games if they were the right ones. So say at Dayton and at George Mason, probably their 2 toughest games, certainly their 2 toughest road games left on the schedule. And then lose the conference championship game and still make it in. I would feel pretty confident about that. But again, you want to not only make it in, but ideally avoid that 8-9 seed situation where even with a win, you'd have to play a 1 seed in the second round. 7 seed would not be the end of the world, but still you're facing a potential 2 seed in the second round. Ideally, you'd love to see the Billikens able to get up to that 6 seed, which I think is roughly where they are right now. Low end 6, high end 7 seems to be the consensus, which I get feels low for the number 19 team in the country. You'd think you just, divide by 4. What tier are they in? That should be a 5 seed. If you're the number 19 team in the country, bracket math does not always work like that. So the Billikens will put it on the line again. Every game is big with that small margin for error, and they will do it against LaSalle tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, 1:45 pregame here on KMOX. Told you we'd talk a little Super Bowl. We did some during Rush Hour Sports. I will say I like Seattle in this game, as Vegas does. I don't feel overwhelmingly comfortable, and I'm surprised the public feels so comfortable on the Seahawks -4.5. I'm also surprised that the public is so enthusiastic about the over in this game. Generally speaking, the public prefers overs everywhere, especially in prop bets. It's just what people like to root for things to happen rather than things not to happen, I think. I feel the under in this game seems much more likely. Have a couple of quarterbacks who have some turnovers in them. Have a couple of teams, I think, who are going to want to run the ball in this game to mitigate that risk. The Patriots are going to want to protect Drake May. I mean, the Seahawks are going to want to protect Sam Darnold, too. I mean, neither of them have been physically 100%. So to me, you're likely to see a little bit of ball control in this game, and you have two very capable defenses. Mike McDonald, in particular, the head coach of the Seahawks, has been widely praised around NFL circles for his schemes this year. So I'm liking the feel of the under in this game, but the public is very confident in the over. So maybe I will be eating those words one way or the other. I think Seahawks probably, but in a close game. This should be a very interesting Super Bowl, and I'm excited. I've been talking about this since probably the middle stages of the NFL season, certainly the back half of the NFL season, when it became clear that we were not going to have the Chiefs in the thick of this. There are other teams too, right? We didn't have the Ravens in it, didn't have the Bengals in it. I think there's something to be said now for having a postseason that even when we got to the conference championship games, and certainly now in the Super Bowl, is not so covered with narratives that we've already driven into the ground. Narratives that have been discussed over and over and over again, right? The data says, I should admit this, right? The data says across sports that people like dynasties, even if they say they don't. Fans' stated preferences generally are for parity in sports. Fans' revealed preferences generally are for dynasties, for imbalances in sports that are sustained for a period of time. This was most obvious in the NBA when the Warriors and the Cavaliers played in the finals 3 years in a row, and everybody and their mother insisted that they were hoping for something else, that this is why the NBA was boring. But the ratings were great. And I don't particularly care about TV ratings. A lot of people care about them a lot. I don't think they have really much inherent value to them, right? I don't get any benefit out of that. I don't care if ESPN or NBC or Prime or whomever makes more money because they get more viewership. That's immaterial to me. But it is a barometer of the interest level that the country has in the sport or the sporting event. And this revealed preferences have been that people are interested in dynasties, right? I mean, the numbers bear this out with the Chiefs and how much viewership they drive, in particular in the regular season, in the marquee windows, in their big games, right? There's a reason that Jim Nantz and Tony Romo call like 28 Chiefs games every year, right? It's because the number one CBS crew goes where the eyeballs are. So I get that what I'm saying is maybe not reality, that stated preferences are not always revealed preferences here, and revealed preferences have been for a certain amount of recurrence of the same characters and the same teams. My preference, now I'm watching either way, so I don't think there's a difference between my stated and revealed preference. I guess my revealed preference is I'll watch regardless. But my stated preference is I find it refreshing here to have a Super Bowl that is not burdened by narratives around Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, not burdened by narratives around Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That's not to say I have anything against any of those teams. But we live in a world where narratives drive the story, right? And that's fine. People like stories. It's how we consume our lives, has been for eons, for throughout human history. Storytelling is critical to how we understand ourselves and the world around us. As a result, though, it's easy to get lazy because when there's a well-established narrative that everybody understands and knows, you have to worry much more about confirmation bias. People want events to fit into that narrative. Every event is immediately viewed through a particular prism. I feel here, this is a Super Bowl with far fewer of those prerequisite prisms, if you will. Far fewer filters that we're forced to look through in order to see the game. Instead, I mean, maybe it's not that much different, but I think let's talk about the prominent narratives in this game. Some of them are just pure human interest in the way that we talk about sports, and they're not taken to have any effect on the game itself, right? The Seahawks-Patriots quote-unquote rematch from the Malcolm Butler goal line interception game is a major storyline. Not because it has any impact on the game, right? There are no recurrent characters between that episode and this one, if you want to treat it like a TV show. That's just for fans. It's just for history. And those are fun. I love those. You know, when I do play-by-play, I spend a lot of time on those kinds of fun narratives. History of this team or that team. History of them against each other. It's just a fun way to consume sports. It's a fun way for us to all recall our shared history as sports fans. Speaking about narratives and stories being a big part of how we connect with each other. We connect with the world around us, with our past and with our present and with our future. But they don't have any relevance to the football game that's going to be unfolding in front of us. We understand that. So let's talk about the narratives that do potentially. The one that stands out is Sam Darnold in big games. But we've already sort of started to move past that because he's had a lot of success in big games for the Seahawks already this year. Contrast, say, his Week 18 performance against San Francisco to secure the NFC West title and the number 1 seed against his performance in a very similar Week 18 game as a Minnesota Viking when they were throttled by the Lions. What was it, 31-9 in Week 18 last season? He's already overcoming some of that. Now, I don't want to pretend that Sam Darnold gets the majority of the credit for the Seahawks winning a game 13-3, right? The Seahawks could have gone without scoring a touchdown the entire game and still won with a couple of field goals because their defense dominated the 49ers to the degree that they did. So, and that's partially what I'm getting at is that if that narrative is changing because the Seahawks scored 13 points in Week 18 and now have gotten themselves to the Super Bowl, the NFC Championship, Sam Darnold played well. I think Jackson Smith-Njigba was a bigger part of that than Darnold was. I think Kenneth Walker was a big part of that. I think the defense has been phenomenal. We talk about that and Nick Emanwari in the conversation with Ryan Harris that you're going to hear in just a couple of minutes. Super Bowl champion in his own right, won Super Bowl 50 with the Broncos there in Santa Clara at Levi's Stadium over Carolina. And now part of the Westwood One crew and getting ready to be part of the folks covering that game on national radio on Sunday. What I'm getting at is how nice is it that we can watch a game between two teams that haven't been there for a while. And I know the Patriots are, the most frequent Super Bowl participant of my lifetime, right? And many of our lifetimes. I get that. But this Patriots team, again, totally new iteration. Might as well be a new franchise. The Tom Brady years and this have nothing really in common with each other. Just the same laundry. The Patriots are a new team, new coach, new quarterback. Quite a likable team, I would say. And I think a lot of people feel that way, even though there was a lot of bad feelings around the Patriots toward the end of that dynasty for the same reason there are around the Chiefs in some circles, because people get tired of a winner who wins too much. I think people mostly seem to like Drake May and seem to like the new Patriots. The Seahawks trying to get over that hump, win that second ring, and doing it against the team that beat them in such painful fashion on the Malcolm Butler pick. Even if, again, there's not a lot of overlap in the characters, no overlap in the characters. Get to see a really cool story in Darnold trying to put the cherry on top of 2 years of success that have kind of come out of nowhere relative to how his career was going. And he'll do it at Levi's Stadium, a place where he spent a year as the backup quarterback for the 49ers and credits that time under Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy for a lot of his transformation, even though he did not play very much. He gives them a lot of credit. His time in San Francisco and Santa Clara, a lot of credit for his development, his transformation as a quarterback. Actually speaks, I think, to his humility and his professionalism and the ways that the lessons that he's learned in his career are serving him now, even if a lot of those lessons were painfully learned during his time in New York and in Carolina. So I'm really looking forward to this game, a lot more than I thought I would be, just because of how this season has unfolded with so many of the recurrent names of the last few years, either not in the picture at all or on the periphery of it and having since left the picture, because there's something fun to getting to see a game of this magnitude with something closer to a fresh blank slate where we can just watch the game and let it be what it is, rather than having to push everything through a narrative that's been calcified over several years and now is very hard around the corners and the turns and has to be negotiated rather than just forming a new path based on wherever the game goes. Talk to Ryan Harris about what we can expect from the Super Bowl this Sunday after this on KMOX.
For 100 years, KMOX has been the voice of St. Louis, informing, entertaining, and connecting our community. Now, relive a century of service at KMOX100.com, a website that allows you to explore classic KMOX audio, rare photos and video, and the legendary voices that shaped St. Louis. Every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat lives on at KMOX100.com.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Wait, Corey from Air Comfort Service? What are you doing in my basement?
Standing behind our work.
It's 9 p.m.
At Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation, we take pride in our work. If you need heating service, no matter the time of day or night, we're here to help with 24/7 emergency service.
So you're just going to stand behind my furnace?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can you hand me those paper towels then?
Absolutely. For heating service or HVAC maintenance, visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
You're next to order. Please pull forward.
You know, Josh, when you said you were springing for lunch, I didn't think you meant drive-through fast food.
Come on, man. Money's been tight lately, and these high gas prices are killing me.
You pay full price at the pump? Get your head out of the sand and start using Upside.
What's Upside?
Come on, dude. Upside is the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it every time I fill up my tank.
Does that really add up?
I've already banked around $200.
That's serious cash.
Hi, can I take your order?
Yeah, I'm ordering the free Upside app to start earning cash back on every gallon of gas I buy.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ORDER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ORDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ORDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and I think right now we all need something to look forward to, and a nice little getaway is going to do it for me. So I've been looking at this 5-day Arizona trip that I planned in September, and to me, it sounds absolutely perfect, and I would love for you to join me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay in Flagstaff because that means cooler temperatures. It's a great home base, and from there, we're going to visit Sedona, the Grand Canyon, and Lake Powell all in one trip. I'm talking about red rocks, big views, and that deep blue water at Lake Powell that looks like a postcard. I'm told September is one of the best times to go, with fewer crowds, more comfortable weather, and everything's going to be planned out for us. We just show up. If this sounds like something you'd like to do, please join me, because I have always wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. Travelwithdebbie.net. That's travelwithdebbie.net, or call Cruise and Tour at 800-383-3131. Space is limited, so don't delay. 800-383-3131. Travelwithdebbie.net.
John Pertzborn here, and I've come to respect the good works of Hardy's Rise and Shine for Heat benefit, supporting heatupstlouis.org, where 100% of the proceeds help families and seniors with Missouri and Illinois utilities. It's Friday, February 13th, your lucky day. Volunteer now or pre-order sacks of sausage or egg biscuits only at heatupstlouis.org. Put the biscuits down, gentry.
It's men's Billikens basketball action Saturday afternoon as they take to the court against LaSalle. Pre-game 1:45, tip at 2 on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Gray Bar Sports Open Line continues this Friday evening. Nate Gatter with you in for Matt Pauley, and we're joined now by Super Bowl champion Ryan Harris, who won it as a Denver Broncos offensive lineman, now is back at the Super Bowl for another year doing pre, half, and post analysis with Westwood One on the national radio call. Ryan, how you doing?
Doing great, Nate. Thanks for having me, and happy Super Bowl weekend.
Happy Super Bowl weekend indeed. And not just any Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl 50 champion, which means that you won it in that very stadium in Santa Clara the first time that Levi's Stadium hosted the Super Bowl. Is it a little bit weird to be back and going through Super Bowl festivities in the same place where you won it as a player?
Well, what's weird, Nate, is that I now have 3 kids instead of 2, and I feel like I'm the same guy, but I'm absolutely 10 years older. And it's been cool to see not only the game, but just the teams throughout the season and playoffs to get there, and to see the AFC Championship game between the Broncos and Pats. I mean, it was like a deja vu in the best sense. So happy for all the football fans, and what a place to have a Super Bowl out here in San Francisco.
You and I were there in Week 18, just after New Year's Day, for the Seahawks and the 49ers when they were playing for the NFC West Championship, calling that game on Westwood One. And for much of that game, we were focused on the possibility that the 49ers, if they had won the game, would have been the West champions, would have been the number 1 seed, and could have potentially gone all the way to the Super Bowl without having to go on the road again because they would have had home field advantage. As it turned out, of course, Seattle won that game pretty comfortably, a dominant performance by their defense, and they're the ones who returned to San Francisco for the Super Bowl now. It seems like from that game on, the Seahawks just have not looked back. They've been excellent.
Well, it was an incredible game that we called, and thank you for carrying me for 4 straight quarters. That's a heavy lift, so you can tell people you lift linemen all the time. But it is. I mean, and the real story here is Sam Darnold. I mean, yes, Kenneth Walker has started to run the football the way that everybody thought he would, and they're getting those yards. But Sam Darnold's been playing without hesitation. He's been playing with belief, and honestly, Nate, to me, it looks like he's playing and saying, "Hey, he's fighting himself." He's saying, "I'm not going to let myself doubt this. I'm going to pull the trigger, throw the football," and that's worked for them. And so, him playing with a chip on his shoulder, as well as the run game and that defense, the Seahawks have just been the best team in the NFC, really, since Week 11 of the year.
Obviously, Sam Darnold has an enormous amount on the line in this game. I think already this year, and especially the stretch run of this year, starting with that Week 18 win, has done a lot to change the narrative around him, and in particular, the kind of struggles that we associate with him in big games, because those have not come up nearly as often, if at all, for the Seahawks Sam Darnold version this year. But safe to say that if he and Seattle win this Super Bowl on Sunday, this would be an incredible legacy turnaround for a player who a lot of folks had written off just a couple of years ago.
Well, he'd be Mr. Resilient, too. I mean, how many of us could handle not only seeing ghosts and saying it out loud, but then hearing all the criticism afterwards? And I'll tell you something. I got to see Matt Castle and Matt Leinart. I don't know if they're pulling for him, Nate. I mean, I think they want. I don't think they want to see it, because think about this. Not only does he become the most resilient player in NFL recent history, he also becomes the best quarterback out of USC overnight, right? I mean, Carson Palmer holds that standard right now, but you get Sam Darnold to go in there and win it, that's going to make him the best. And what I want everybody to pay attention to is the mental work that he did. I mean, so much of athletics, yes, is physical, but at a certain point, whether it's athletics or in life, you have to be able to look at yourself and realize what role you're playing in your failures, and do the work to fix it. And that's the best thing that Sam Darnold has done for himself, his team, and the city of Seattle.
Ryan Harris is with us, Super Bowl champion with the Denver Broncos in 2015, now NFL analyst on Westwood One, among other places. We're going to get to the Patriots in just a minute, but first I want to talk to you about that Seattle defense that has been so good. In particular, those veteran guys up front, because they have 3 guys on their defensive line who have played a decade or longer in the NFL. And the 3 of them, in particular, Leonard Williams, playing football maybe at the best level of their careers, certainly up toward the best levels of their careers, much more so than guys usually are into their 30s.
Well, and let's be clear, Lawrence is a player who has had a week and a half off. And I know one of the things that people didn't see the year that we won Super Bowl 50 out here 10 years ago was how much work that DeMarcus Ware and Aqib Talib did to recover in that week and a half. I mean, think about this now. That's an extra bye week. And especially with the Seahawks having the first seed, they didn't play in the divisional round. So they've had 2 bye weeks in the last month. And veterans like Williams, who knows how hard it is to get to this point, are not only going to give everything they got on Sunday, but they've been doing that preparation for a week and a half while staying off their feet and limiting their physical reps.
We're talking about everything that Sam Darnold has done mentally to be resilient, but I would imagine, and you know as well as anybody with how long you played in the league, that it's a testament to the physical discipline of those guys that they're playing at this level at their age.
Well, a lot of yoga, a lot of body taking care of your body, and what that means is a massage on Wednesday after practice for 15 minutes, and then a massage on Thursday, 15 minutes, a Friday massage, a pregame massage. I mean, you got to take care of your body, hydrate, get IVs. And that's what you want, though, as a player. You know, all the things that go into playing in a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl are things you want. You want to compete at the highest level. You want to take care of your body. You want to make sure you're healthy because you have an opportunity to become immortal in the game of football. And that's one of the biggest opportunities that a player can ask for in the game.
Been talking about the old guys up front. How about the young guy, Nick Emenwari, who's been getting all this attention on the Seattle defense? You were raving about him when we had that game in Week 18. He did pick up this ankle injury in practice this week. How concerned are you about that?
Well, that is concerning, and the severity is going to be the determining factor there. Ankle injuries range from, hey, I sprained my ankle, like many people listening right now. They may have done it in walking off a curb or in a basketball game. And then there's a high ankle sprain, which sometimes needs surgery, and is sometimes it's better to break your ankle than to have a high ankle sprain. So it will affect the game, but Emenwari is one of the best players I've ever seen. And players like that, in my experience, they can, even them at 70% is better than the rest of the league at 100%. And that's exactly the case with Emenwari.
How is that? I think the regular, this doesn't relate to the Super Bowl specifically, but in football and professional sports at a broad level, I think it's one of the hardest things to relate to as someone watching the game from the outside who's never gone through that. How do you learn, whether it's mental, physical, a combination of both, learn to play through injury, to play through that level of pain, and to find a way to be effective and productive even at 60, 70, 80% of your capability?
Well, it is both mental and physical, like you mentioned. And the mental and the physical part is, hey, I'm going to be in pain, right? This is not going to feel normal. You have to accept that. I mean, acceptance in athletics is such a huge asset. Once you accept that you're going to be in pain, okay, now what can I do with this pain? And there's the mental part, right? Now mentally, okay, maybe I could do this and I could block Nate this way, but with this ankle, I now have to do it this way. But great players also say, okay, I can fake because I can't do that. I'm going to fake like I can on a play where it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to really take advantage of of what I can do on a play that I can make a difference. So it's not picking and choosing, but it's understanding what you're capable of and how much can you throw some deception on your game to give people to throw people off of the fact that you're injured. And I'll say one last thing though, Nate. We went to the Carolina Panthers and they told us the linebacker Davis had a broken arm, was still going to play. I thought he wasn't going to hit hard, and he hit me with one of the hardest hits of my life. So anything can happen in a Super Bowl, and no one is sitting out if they can walk.
It's a great point. And I remember you mentioning that you took some of the biggest hits of your career in that game. What about for a guy who has not been on this stage before, like Patriots quarterback Drake May? Sort of the opposite of Sam Darnold, right? He has no reason to doubt himself because he's been on a spectacular ascension in his first 2 years in the NFL. The Patriots have gone from worst to first and have a chance now to put a Super Bowl ring on the end of it. But at the same time, they've done it against one of the easiest schedules in the history of the NFL. And they've gotten to this point with a quarterback now who is experiencing all of this for the first time and dealing with his spotlight. What are you looking for from him?
Well, first and foremost, looking for him to continue to do what he's done to get there, which is not be incredibly accurate, but make the right play. And when you think about it, what people need to understand, he's playing Tim Tebow football. It doesn't look good. It's not long, deep passes, right? But he's going to somehow find a way to convert. And part of that is Josh McDaniels willing to run the football back-to-back times to get to that 3rd and 6, to get to 3rd and manageable. But they're not concerned with scoring touchdowns on the first drive. They want to wear out a defense. They want to run the ball for Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is a fantastic player. And they're not going to put too much on Drake May. I mean, this is a guy who completed 10 passes in the AFC Championship win. And one of the misses that he had was a 7-yard in route to his tight end. I mean, he's not anywhere near the top 10 of quarterbacks in the NFL, and he does know how to win. And so that's the thing that you got to keep in mind. He's much better with his legs than people give him credit for. He will use them, and he's going to play Tim Tebow football and hopefully be a champion like Tim Tebow was in college.
Visiting with Ryan Harris, Super Bowl 50 champion as a Denver Broncos offensive lineman. Now you hear him on Westwood One, where he'll be hosting pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage on the Westwood One crew. Author of Mindset for Mastery, and you can follow him on Twitter at Ryan Harris _68. Ryan, just one more before we let you go. The Patriots have been underdogs in this game continuously. They're, I think, 4.5 points has been the spread for most of the week. For the Patriots to pull an upset, what needs to go right for them?
Christian Barmore and Milton Williams need to have 2 sacks each. The big thing that you have to realize is that Sam Darnold has had a fairly clean pocket on most of his big throws, especially to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And you can't do that if you're on the ground. So the defensive line for the Patriots is where you get the advantage. And I'll just say real quick, Nate, that you want to be an underdog in this game. What it sounds like when you're the favorite in the locker room is, oh, yeah, we're going to run that play. Nate, you're going to have a touchdown. Guys, by the time it's the third quarter, it's going to be 28-0. And conversely, the other team, here the Patriots, they're going to say, guys, we got to do this to stop Nate. We got to do this to stop Ryan. And if we do that, we can be champions. So it's a totally different approach. And you want to be in that underdog position. And the last thing I'll tell you, the Patriots are staying at the same hotel that 10 years ago we won Super Bowl 50.
Ryan Harris, Super Bowl champion, joining us here on KMOX. More after the break.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Want to build income without a second job? Learn how real estate investing can help you create extra income one step at a time with Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
St. Louis, are you ready to go Hardy?
I woke up on the wrong side of the truck bed.
The country rock hitmaker behind Truck Bed. Wait in the truck and one beer. He's bringing his no-holds-barred live show to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater June 5th. With special guests Cameron Whitcomb and McCoy Moore. Hardy, live, loud, and unapologetic. One night only. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. For more information, KMOX.com/events.
For 100 years, KMOX has been a part of St. Louis. Now, those moments live on, preserved, remastered, and ready to be heard again. Discover KMOX from the Archives, a podcast featuring classic audio from a century of service.
Sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
The KMOX from the Archives podcast, available now at KMOX100.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Why specialty MRI?
It's proactive healthcare, no cold clinics, right here in Fenton.
Was it hard to schedule? Was there a long wait?
Not at all. Direct access, no referral needed.
And the results?
Quick with clear answers with their MRI health bundles.
Sounds like the future.
Call Specialty MRI at 314-899-2075. That's 314-899-2075.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Gray Bar Sports Open Line wrapping up this Friday evening. Nate Gatter with you in for Matt Pauley. I will be back with you for Monday evening show. Couple of things to look out for here on KMOX. Tomorrow, 1:45 pregame, 2 o'clock tip-off. Billikens against LaSalle. And then Monday evening, we'll have the SLU Coaches Show be from 6 to 7. Gray Bar Sports Open Line will be 7 to 8. I'll have Ryan Leaf with me, former Washington State and NFL quarterback, to break down whatever happens in the Super Bowl on Sunday. Thanks to St. Louis U assistant coach Corey Tate and to Westwood One analyst Ryan Harris for joining us. That's been our show right here on KMOX.
This Valentine's Day, create a space that feels warm and welcoming